Okay. Participants. Okay.
Set?
Yeah, I think we are now good to go.
Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. Select Board meeting, it's October, what is it, 27th, and it's 6 o'clock, and all present except for Dan Fingus, who is ill. And we will, any changes to the agenda that anybody would like to mention? Yeah. Any announcements?
Yes. There are so many vacancies in critical town positions and town committees. The list will be being published very shortly, but it's vast, it's epic. Tell your friends, the town needs help. For small towns like ours with a minimum number of employees doing crucial functions like road work and road care. Most things happen around here because of the work of volunteers, committees of neighbors. Just about every committee is looking for someone. Tell your friends. Thank you.
Thank you, that's very important.
Can I just follow up?
And follow up, yeah.
I mean, I sent out an email that I was putting together a list to upgrade the home page on our town website. Do you want to take that over since I'm going to be going out of town?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll send you what I need, but I've gotten some feedback from Will Colgan at the Planning Commission, from the cemetery folks. We had to check on what terms there were, because there were folks who were elected at town meeting, but we only currently have 2. We also know some folks are stepping down at town meeting. Did we want to include Carl, emergency management,
It'll be
others?
It'll be on that list.
Okay.
Yep.
And I guess the one question I had was, and this was in response to Josh tuning in the auditors. We are required by statute to appoint as soon as possible after vacancies. And then as soon as possible has been not possible because no one has stepped forward on that.
We need folks.
But legally, those are vacancies that we have to fill unless we change what we do, which we might want to do as a town. But that would require a vote at town meeting. And there's also been a part-time maintenance position that has been up there since, I think, 2016.
Oh, really?
Since April of 2016.
Is this for general?
Yeah.
Like all the.
At the town office.
Yeah.
And we, I guess, are contracting it out at the moment. My question is, do we want to continue to advertise that position? And maybe Josh can speak to that during his treasurer's report.
Yeah, well, it's an important position. Somebody needs to be on top of that kind of thing, right?
Maybe that sounds like a future agenda item to address, or one in which that Josh can mention in the treasurer's report.
Yeah. Since he's happy to riff on anything, anytime, so.
Yeah. Go, Josh.
Any other announcements from the board? Any public comment?
Winter is coming.
Not, what's that?
Winter is coming.
Thanks. And so town clerk's report.
Yes, am I okay to sit here or do I need to go to the mic?
I don't see a mic. I think the mic fell down.
Where is it?
Whatever.
I think in order for people to hear.
I think it's lying, oh, there it is.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
You could also slide your chair closer to the owl.
We just want to make sure people online here.
Okay, Brown Tobin, Town Clerk. Just want to say regarding, we have an election next week, November 4th. The election will be at 149 Main Street at the Plainfield Municipal Building. Just want to be clear, Plainfield Municipal Building. And if you're interested in voting absentee, mail delivery service has really been very unreliable. And at this point, if there's any way you can come to the office and vote same day, that would be much preferable. Once again, it's not impossible, and I'm obliged, if you make the request, to send you a ballot, but I'm just concerned about turnaround time. If you receive a ballot in the mail, you can come in and drop it off in the drop box anytime. Just want to get through, there are a bunch of other things, but I think with time pressing, I just want to get into the Blue Cross Blue Shield renewal. Is that okay?
Yep.
So the proposal is basically to renew our gold CDHP plan. And the deductibles, of course, are a little more, they went from $2,950 to $3,200. But the premiums aren't as bad an increase as maybe many expected. I think that, it went for a single employee, this year is 1189.80, last year was 116617. Two-person, this year is 2379. Last year was 2292.34. You get the gist. I think that this plan has worked well. We have the health savings account offered to employees to help with those large deductibles. I don't know if anybody has anything they want to discuss.
Peter?
I just did the math on those premium increases for the single person. It's 2% and 3.8% for the others. So, yeah, much better than I think others
What
are
we've been
facing in
hearing.
other plans.
Yeah.
So I would move that we adopt it.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed?
Great, thank you. I think that's it for the town clerk's report.
Okay.
So 4-0 unanimous.
Yes, 4-0, yep. What's the next item is town employee health insurance and Blue Cross Blue Shield rates.
We just did it.
That's what we just did. Okay, and then the support for rec field. Do we have a rec field person here?
Do y'all want to slide chairs up close to the table or take turns at the mic?
Or use the mic?
Either one is fine.
That's to make sure people online can hear you.
You,
My name is
no,
Larkin.
and you're going to actually really need to be either in chairs close here or face way closer to the microphone.
Cheers, close here.
Come on over.
How's this? Nice. Sorry, we thought you were at the meeting.
Get all cozy.
Hannah, this is nice. Hi.
Hi there,
Nice to see you all.
Nice to see you.
in this
Thanks
intimate
for having
setting.
us.
Yes, yes.
Welcome.
So you're looking for support from the town for various items. Can you describe it?
Yeah. Do you all want to introduce
You could
ourselves?
introduce yourself
Yeah.
just again, just to
My
Yes.
name's Larkin. I live up on East Hill.
And I'm Jamie Spector. And I think I'm sort of officially still the chair of the Recreation Public Arts Committee. We had a couple things we wanted to check in with you all about, some updates. And then I think maybe you all had some questions or ideas, so just wanted to, check in. Sound good?
Yep, great.
Okay. So,
Oh, yeah.
you wanna go first?
Yeah, should we just go
Okay.
through the three topics? we
Yeah, the
discussed?
three things, yeah.
Sure. So in regards to the electrical repairs required down at the rec field, we did have one electrician come out over the summer, because it was blazing hot, so it must have been like deep summer. And he was able to give us estimates both for the immediate repairs that needed to happen, like things that weren't working, and he was even able to like fix a couple things that day. And then he gave us a quote basically to, how do I say this gently? Bring us into the next century in terms of like lighting and efficiency.
That's the one we shared with you all.
Yeah,
already.
that's the one that was like, yes, all these things, and a lot of it just being that, to get the equipment to do the repairs that need to happen anyways, basically to like make sense of a system that currently doesn't make sense. He's like, why not also do these other things that would actually save the town a lot of money, and we could get rebates from Efficiency Vermont, which I contacted them. They were like, yes, definitely, we will give you rebates, but they couldn't give us specific amounts. And so we actually like told them what, equipment we've been using or whatever. And so when we brought it to you guys, they were like, okay, we need 3 more quotes in order to go through this process, because it's above a certain threshold monetarily. And we reached out to 4 now, and they've either refused or they just haven't gotten back to us. So we're at like a bit of a stalemate with that. And definitely Hall Electric, as far as I know, is still willing to work with us. This is the one we got the initial quote from. But that is like where we're at with the electrical stuff.
Can you remind me, there were several reasons for wanting the electrical. One is to save energy, I assume with lighting.
Oh, sure.
So one is safety. There were some
Exactly, being able to
concerns.
see past a certain time of day, yeah.
Well, it's also safety from getting
Oh, yeah.
shocked.
Electrocuted, yeah.
And,
This
and
is true.
is that still an issue? Or,
I mean, down the pole down by the basketball court is not great.
okay.
Yeah, there's some stuff that is like haggard,
kind
to
of-
say the best.
So there's savings, there's safety, and then there's by illuminating, but also,
I mean, there's straight up, there's like lights that to, renting the cherry picker to do the repairs, like
Yeah.
there's lights that are angled like upwards. So it's like,
Yeah.
even if they're on,
They point at the
they're pointing
sky.
at the sky as opposed to actually
that's
like at the
opposite of
basketball
dark
court.
sky,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah,
Truly,
super.
Yeah.
Awesome.
super opposite.
So, okay, so those are the
So
fundamental
that's the
things.
update, is that we've been trying to get other bids, and we haven't yet been able to get other bids,
And
so,
the money was roughly 12 grand, do I remember right?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Is there any opportunity for grants,
Like money upfront, that's a good
Not,
idea.
I mean, I shared, so the last, in terms of grants, Gail Hansen had contacted me that she was the person working with the town that was gonna be available to do some grants work with our committee. And I shared a bunch of information with her, and then I haven't heard from her in a while. And I
Yeah.
understand that she's had some things
I think
going
she's
on.
moved on.
Gail has long COVID,
Yes.
Oh,
so she's been out of commission for a while. So
Yeah.
Too bad.
So that
Thank you,
was
Carrie.
after I had a
Okay.
couple long conversations with her. I sent her a ton of information on various things that we were working on or wanting to work on, and then I didn't really hear from her. So that's kind of
Okay.
where things stood. And I don't really have capacity to do a lot of grant research as full-time.
Well, there's another volunteer position for
Yeah,
somebody.
It's on the list.
Volunteer grant writer?
Okay, and there was,
I think
there's 2 other
2
things,
more.
right?
Yeah, the next one, yeah, bathrooms.
Well, yeah, then, the other, so that's just like an update. In terms of the porta potty situation, I think for that, I think as I had sent this in an email, but I mean, for this year, it's kind of a moot point. The season for porta potty, we've sort of, we've ended.
Has it gone away?
The porta potty was removed by Wind River, after the third one of the season was damaged. I noticed it was gone at some point in September. And I was like, oh, what happened? Where'd it go? I guess it was end of August, because it was when I was still in communication with them gearing up for Old Home Day. And I was in communication with them for the rental for Old Home Day. And so then in one of my communications, I was like, oh, by the way, I just noticed it's missing at the rec field. What happened? And that's when I heard, that was the first I had heard, that it had been damaged, and that's why it had been removed. But we We usually don't have a porta potty for the winter months anyway. So I think at this point, we're done for this year. And I think we would just ask for next year, if the town does receive damage reports, just to let us know, because they come to the town offices, and then, not that there's anything particular that we would do other than maybe some communications out. And I don't know if you think it's worth sending out some kind of joint statement to the community of just like, hey, this is taxpayer money that is costing the town.
Literally going down the toilet.
Literally going down the little plastic toilet.
Patty,
Yes.
you get,
I do have a question. Is there a big, are they charging us a big expense to?
It's $750.
This cost this summer
$750 each time.
$750.
Each time, so
Yeah.
times 3.
No, I think it was
My
total,
$750?
My
Oh.
total, it was total?
wasn't it?
Actually, you
I
would
think
know.
for the two, it was a damage report of $750.
Michael has a question too.
yeah, Mike,
Michael Billingsley. Katie, I seem to remember maybe 2 years ago that the porta potty that was there was handicap accessible. And I know that this is something we're paying more attention to. So is it possible to be sure that next year, whatever porta potty is put in there is also handicap accessible?
Sure, yeah, we can, for sure. I don't recall, I mean, we have, the past 2 years for Old Home Day, we've always gotten 2 porta potties and made sure one of them is an accessible, one, an ADA one.
I was just thinking if we only have one, I think.
Yeah, we can
it's
do
important
that.
to be accessible. That's all, that was the only request.
Yeah, I like that.
I see a question that remains of, considering that the rec budget is finite and limited, are those funds coming out of the rec field budget?
For the damages.
For the damages specifically, or can that be covered by general fund to allow you all the ability to still kind of do
or is
your
there
charge?
any insurance,
Insurance.
town insurance perhaps? I don't know how vandalism is treated in our policy.
Or what our deductible is, if the deductible is $250, it's
Yeah.
moot,
Right,
but I don't know. Graham, do
Yeah.
you know? Josh, do you know?
Don't offhand for,
Yeah, and I would just say, like, among other things, I think our committee is specifically holding this as one of multiple instances of like, what are the long-term viable possibilities for a public bathroom, both for the rec field space and any possible expanded public space that we want to have down the line. And yeah, to be putting money into porta potties that are a very short-term solution to begin with, that are then being vandalized and damaged beyond use, does feel like a hard expense to swallow. So that is like a curiosity that we're holding to, that we would love to talk to you guys
I
about.
think there's more discussion on that,
Yeah.
because, yeah, Patty?
Well, no, I want to say, are you considering not having them because of the way they've been treated?
I mean, I think our proposal, I guess it's almost 2 years ago now, when the ARPA funds came, we submitted a proposal to the ARPA committee that was for both the water fountain, which we have now purchased and hopefully will get installed next spring, but also for a composting toilet, which we had a plan for to try to build and install a moldering composting toilet down there that would be a long-term solution and eliminate the need to have a porta potty, and then that would get rid of that town expense. And that is something that long-term we would like to explore. We do need to continue to do more research. Our last communications with John Meadows, who works for the state, he was saying there were some regulatory changes that were coming in down the pipeline that would make that more possible. And so we need to circle back with him and just see if that has come to pass. But that would be great, because then we would have compost to be able to put on fruit trees and the nut trees down there. And,
Okay.
but we'd have to cite it properly, but that would be great.
I mean, one quick thing is, we just started talking about vandalism of porta potties.
Like, do we think
We're
our
talking
proposal is gonna
about
get
something more
vandalized?
permanent, so we got to make sure that's covered.
Yeah.
Patty, you had a question?
these guys with those questions, but I have questions past the porta potties, to the rec field, but past the porta potties, so
Yeah,
we finish that, and then I have a couple of questions, thank you.
Just to inform the discussion, I think maybe people aren't aware, we had a very big controversial issue a number of years back with the notion of garbage cans at the rec field. And what happened was somebody lit a fire and burned one of those plastic things to the ground. And it created a lot of tension, and for, I think, 2 years after that, there were no garbage cans down there. That became untenable. But I think that you're always fighting this thing. Obviously, you know, we want to sort of provide services and this and that. I'm just saying, this isn't a new issue, obviously.
no, and it's got a lot of pieces to it. Michael, go ahead.
That might be helpful. When the house buyouts occur, the property that's now the Heartbreak Hotel will be contiguous with the rec field, and it will be town-owned. And one of the properties along the river, we're not sure where, but when the design phase got started with the National Park Service, which is just beginning, it was considered that a public toilet could be created out of one of those areas, and the back end of the Heartbreak is out of the special hazard flood zone. In other words, where it's a little bit higher in the parking area, and so it would be in public view, it would be in a residential neighborhood, and it wouldn't necessarily be subject to vandalism. So that's just another option. We could actually have hook up to the water and sewer connection at the Heartbreak. I mean, it could actually be a seasonal toilet.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was definitely one of the possibilities we were dreaming on. I would say too, just generally how to instill a level of like care and respect for public spaces, and like finding ways to engage with people, both to like illuminate the like wasted resources truly, along with like a care for like, hey, we have these public resources, like let's take care of them, let's make sure that we can keep them, because sometimes you have to pee down at the rec field and it's really nice to have a bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay, you had one last item?
Oh, go ahead, and I'll have some questions when you're done, because it covers it.
Slide.
Oh, yeah, the last thing is the slide.
Slide.
Yeah.
Slide and swings.
Twins, yeah.
Swing just needs to get repaired, you know, we just have to get to that. You know, one thing in general, I think just for everyone's awareness, I think, anything that breaks down there at the rec field, it's not an easy fix. Like anything that breaks down there, it's like, it's challenging to find the replacement part. And then even when we find it, to install it can be challenging. You know, we're a small volunteer committee, and, you know, we all have jobs, and it's just, it's challenging. And oftentimes when we find what we think is the right part, then we get down there and then it doesn't fit right, and then we've scheduled a time for all of us to be there, you know, and then, you know, it's just, it's challenging.
Sounds like there's a
So-
maintenance need there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so for example, the slide, you know, we had been trying various fixes to fix this bolt that was coming up, starting
Yeah.
to come up in the slide. We tried various things to try to deal with it. None of them have been sufficient, and it's still a hazard. So we've contacted a distributor locally, and we found basically we're gonna need to replace the whole bottom section of the tube slide.
And what's the dollars on that?
$1,400.
Just to replace the bottom.
Yeah, and that's just for the material.
No, that's for everything,
Oh,
it's
somebody will put it
material
in.
and installation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
So we have a quote on that.
Okay, yep,
And that's obviously, you know, beyond our budget, so,
right, yeah.
so we're asking for support from the select board to do that.
Yeah, I looked at that, that's
Yeah, you're
not
there for
something we
that
can
day.
keep there.
How much is in your reserve?
No idea.
Currently, let me just look, I think Josh just sent that to me recently.
Yeah, I think overall too, we're holding this question of like, what is the level of investment for the rec field as it is now, given the flooding last year and the flooding the year before that, and like, before I joined the committee, I can't remember his name, but someone came and literally spoke to the committee saying like, I actually don't think it's gonna get much higher than this. In terms of like the parts that have already been washed away, like, yes, there will be erosion, and that's just, part of the process that we're in now. But for the most part, like, the rec field as it is will still exist. So I think we're also holding this curiosity of like, what is the level of investment, both energetically and financially, in our rec field as it exists now. Yeah.
Well, I went to 2 birthday parties in 2 weeks at the rec field.
Yeah.
Could we like charge a small amount to use the rec field?
Oh,
I
interesting.
mean, it's perfect, it's got everything, I did nothing at that party. I said, should I do something, should I be doing something? The kids were just off playing, I mean, can we charge a nominal amount I went to 2, I mean, it's, and people use it for T-ball and.
Yeah, everything.
Could we
I love the rec
charge like
field.
a small amount for using stuff?
I mean, there's definitely conversation around like privately garnering resources, like private citizens doing a fundraiser to help buy some things for the rec field. I think in general, the hope is that our public resource could be publicly funded, and also that's a challenge. And like, there are options and opportunities for grants and rebates and whatnot. And also it's limited. I mean, there's an entire like pickleball contingency of at least 20 people who roll up every Tuesday and Thursday, because they're when we meet, just to play pickleball. And it's like, they love it. And like, we have a volunteer come out this spring who fixed the whole tennis court. Like, we had an amazing work day, and like, we got so much done, but specifically this person like did so many repairs just on his own, right? Just because he has the skills and he has the time and he loves pickleball. And so it is, I think, a lot of people just showing up with the time and the skills that they have available to like make our public resource
Can you
beautiful and cared for.
make it aware of things you need for help? I mean, it sounds like this is one person who's doing something maybe for the swing sets. We need some parents of kids who use the swing set to
That's definitely been something we've
put
talked
on new
about.
chains.
A
Just a thought.
Yeah, I missed the
What
tire
I'm
swing.
hearing here is a missive to town,
We need like a
explaining
town
the lost public monies from the vandalism, the opportunity to kick back donations earmarked for the rec field and rec committee when parties are held. I mean, we could either formalize that, or you could just put it out as an ask.
Why don't you think about that and bring it to the board at some point? I mean, I think that's not a bad idea.
And so you're saying something that would come from the select board to the town, or something that's coming from the rec committee?
Well, we would want to get some kind of thought process that you've gone through,
Okay.
or what you think would be reasonable, and then bring it to us to see if we can make it,
Maybe it's a suggested donation.
Yeah.
It's like,
or support your
put a
rec field.
figure on a suggested donation.
I think we
On
need,
the reservation page on the town website, I mean, we have a reservation tool on the page on the website. We could say a suggested donation, but we'd have to talk about on the back end in some way to work out something. But
Josh?
to answer I want to get back to your
Yeah.
question. We have about 5,400 in our reserve account right now. So we
Okay.
do have money that we could use to
Fix the slide.
fix the slide.
yeah, go ahead.
And may I ask how the fundraising campaign is going? I saw the flyer on the door to this building.
Find out.
I know, yeah. I don't know what the current status of that is.
And
You guys
then,
can keep talking
and then an
about it.
additional question, we're talking about in growing representation on town committees. Your committee, how many more people, is like your committee chartered to have on it? And or how many more do you want?
Yeah, I mean, right now, current, I think the, what's the word, statute or whatever,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
for 5 members, so we have 1 vacant seat. And I think we'd love to have another member,
Maybe
you know,
if someone
with
retires.
kids. Yeah,
Oh, okay, or with
someone
kids.
with
That
kids.
would work.
A pickleballer.
That's what I'm
exactly.
saying. Wait.
Could be a
Seriously, somebody who has a stake in it.
pickleballer, could be.
Okay.
Yeah, a pickleballer.
But, yeah,
$2,000. That's how much we raised.
Yeah,
Well, I
good.
didn't do it.
Good.
yeah.
Peter?
Josh had a question for a while.
Oh, Josh, I can't see your hand.
Sorry, to clarify it's likely that with 1 porta potty, you won't exceed the budget for that. line item in this fiscal year, put it back in as well. And then there's also for current fiscal year projects, budget remaining as of the end of September is 1,600. On top of that, like reserve of 5,400. So like for a combined total of about 7,000 you could grab onto for like projects. If you needed, if you were doing like a, you know, combining your sort of current year fiscal projects with your reserve fund, if you need to pull everything out, that's what.
And is the reserve fund a like one-time only thing, or is that something that gets re-upped?
It gets
So-
added to every year.
Okay.
So the idea is like, the best time to plant a tree is 30 years ago. The second best time is today.
Hmm.
So like, when we put in that new infrastructure, starts a clock on when that new infrastructure is no good. So working backwards from that time, that's what the reserve fund needs to cover. But because there was no asset management in place in the past, we're starting at kind of this point going forward. So it's tricky in terms of pulling from reserve funds. You kind of want to, like, you kind of want to look at, you know, you want to be cognizant that that's for like 10 years. You want to kind of get that.
So, for example, the lighting
Yeah.
system, right?
Right.
I chaired the rec committee when the lighting system was installed over there now.
Wow.
And there was an older lighting system which hadn't worked for many, many years. So we put the new ones in with the timers and the outlets and all of that stuff, and that's now come and gone. In terms of its useful life and the technology. But if you say, okay, $12,000, okay, and there's 5,400 in the reserve, what's the life expectancy of the $12,000 investment? If you say it's 10 years, well, then we should be putting 1,200 a year in the reserve fund. Go ahead.
When did you put those lights in?
I don't remember. We can find out.
You were on the,
12.5.
Sometime in the,
Yeah.
was it 30 years ago, 20 years ago? How tall was Ben?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I installed the playground over there too, so the slide, and I remember that bolt at the bottom of the slide, and knew it was gonna be a problem, it was a design flaw when we put it in. Because the question is, when was it gonna poke through?
that's
Okay.
wild.
And I remember at the time, we had a catalog from the company, which had all the stuff, and they had spare parts and stuff like that, and, you know, that we got through the Department of Forest Parks and Recreation, because that's how the grant came through at the time. So I don't know if, you know, they're still available. You know.
The grants or the catalogs?
The catalogs for those vendors.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know.
I mean, we
I mean, that
have
company may be out of
catalogs.
business, I have no
Yeah.
idea, but I
We
haven't followed
specifically
it
reached
since.
out to the same company
Yeah.
that makes the parts or sells the
Right,
parts that we already
right.
have down there.
But we could go back and look at that lighting system and say, okay, how much, and that would give us an idea of like what to put in a reserve account for that, and do you have other capital plans? If we're talking about putting in a more permanent, restroom facility after the buyouts occur, then it's like, okay, what does that building cost, and what's its life expectancy, and you can put that up much aside. So that way, you're not dealing with your operating budget each year that we approve. Your operating budget is like, okay, just, routine type of stuff, as opposed to the capital investment. So I was sitting here looking at the procurement policy, okay? And our procurement policy says two sort of conflicting things. Anything over $300 requires select board approval, anything over $500 requires select board approval. And I'm like, so what's the difference there? But that's a question for us. The lighting fixture requires a bid process. And so we need to have you, or, get assistance, whatever, but you need to put a bid out. It's not just requesting. We actually have to have a bid process for that amount of money, according to our procurement policy. And so we need to create that document that we can send out to people, okay?
Yeah.
And it's like, if you only get one person who bids back and it's a reasonable price, we can go with it, you know? But it's just like, we just have to allow the competition. Doesn't say that everybody's gonna compete.
Sure.
Okay, you may only get one person to compete, or you may have a project that's unique enough that you can go with a sole source provider. That's
Right.
also doable.
So just clarify, Ben actually made the document. He took like the proposal we got from Hall Electric for all the work required.
Yep.
Took all the numbers away and was like, here's what we're looking to get done. And then we sent it directly to electricians. Are you saying put it more out in like a public format, like?
Yes, it has to be done by,
forum?
it has to be done by a public bid process.
I see, so like,
Yeah.
Town of Plainfield is looking for bids on this electrical repair. It's like
Exactly.
very Parks and
Right,
Rec.
And
right.
are you saying we
If-
need to
if-
get that from the person who's already given us the quote also? in
Well,
order-
that's a little bit, I don't know if that's ethical or not, to
Right.
take somebody who's put their time in to give you a quote. But you can use the recommendations and put it in your own wording.
That's what.
And they can just resubmit it, that's fine.
Yeah.
It can be one of, if you go on the town
Sure.
town website,
Like, here's this.
on the homepage, under government, under top, scroll down to ordinances, and policies, and click on that heading, and then scroll down to procurement policy, you'll see the details in there,
Okay.
okay?
I did have a
Oh, Patty,
My question is delving with
Okay.
just,
Sorry, what happened?
with just the pole, that you said is dangerous. There's an electric pole that's by the basketball court.
I think there's just like loose wires and like.
are they live?
Okay, is it
question. How would we find
politically
out?
correct to say wild and crazy teenagers? Is that okay to say that?
Oh,
That go down there a lot? I mean, is there anything telling them that this is dangerous? Is there anything saying stay
So
away from this
the
pole?
wires, I think that the loose wires are more higher up on the pole.
They're not very
They're
accessible.
not very accessible down low.
Okay, so the kids that are playing basketball and use that place all the time are safe from that?
I believe so.
Yeah, and my sense is that we should fix that slide. Because if a kid gets hurt on there,
And this,
Yeah,
the town's liable.
Yeah, all it says is need select board thing, I mean, if you came to us and said, could we spend
can we spend
$1,400 for the slide and, you
Yeah.
know, $500 for the swings, as long as we're not over the next threshold where is required bid, just ask us for the money. And
Okay.
say, I think we'd say yes.
Yes.
Great,
Okay.
that's what we
Yeah.
wanna do.
Okay, so are
we
we
do that
okay to
now?
go ahead and
Approved.
order that?
Are you asking us?
Yes.
Yes, we're asking for approval
To.
to order that piece for the slide
And have it installed.
and have it installed.
I move that we approve the rec center getting the money for the slide and the swings
Yes.
to put together.
Yeah,
The
what
slide
is,
and
do you know the
swings.
money for the swings? Is there money needed?
No, wait, the swing's the tax swing?
The swing is
There's
just,
several
as I saw it, it was
swings.
just a chain link.
I think that we can do.
We'll
I-
just figure that out.
Okay.
There's several
So then I
times.
I second Patty's motion.
Okay.
Okay.
Because you guys can spend under $300 without coming to
Yeah.
us, so.
Totally. We've
Yeah,
had
we
keys
need that
made
money,
and,
so we approved it, yeah.
yeah.
But we do have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
So we have to show separated it, no, separated.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Super.
I have a question.
yes.
Have you gone down to Dog River in Northfield to see what they've done post-flood there?
No.
With their park?
No,
Because they have put in public restrooms and stuff like that. It's in the floodplain, so it can flood.
that's cool.
But I would recommend it, you know, take
Check it out.
a field trip.
That's a significant more discussion. Than,
But, you know, I will say this, I don't care if you're the Grand Canyon National Park or the Plainfield Rec Committee. Graffiti, trash of restrooms is going to occur,
Yeah,
no matter what.
Yeah, yeah.
Question is, you know, if you have a cinder block building and stuff like this, it's more likely to be spray paint, but they're not gonna break the wall.
true that.
Okay, if they break the toilet, they're taking a sledgehammer to it, you know, so there's, you know, probably a
If
crime
they
being.
set off a
committed.
firework.
Yeah,
did,
you know,
then
but,
it'll
you
be
know,
less damaging.
that's always gonna be an issue.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, we can't like not do it just because there's an issue. It's like, how do we make it so that what is there is gonna survive whatever abuse is taken?
Yeah,
yep. Okay, great. I think we're going to move on.
super, we're gonna go.
Oh, Bram?
Just in terms of moving on, I just was looking at the agenda and I see that it's nothing to do with the rec committee.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Thank
noticed
you for having
Yeah.
me work.
Dan Caddy is here, and I think just as for her, I don't see the constable's report listed as an agenda. And I was just wondering if you might make an accommodation.
It is,
It is here.
the no trespass
Oh, I'm
policy.
sorry about that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't see the constable.
Karen is up next.
Thank you for all your work, rec committee. Thank you.
Karen, you can sit here if it's easier, or you can stand.
These old legs is.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, Karen Hatcher, Grants Administrator. With your October report, excuse me. Good. So I shared this report with the board previous, so you had a chance to take a look, and
Yeah.
also published it on Front Porch Forum last week, so that it's a public document and folks know what's going on. I know that there's a lot of interest in what's happening, a lot of questions about what's going on with FEMA, what's going on with federal grants and that kind of thing. So wanted to just provide a general update and then just be able to answer any questions that the group may have for me. The first part of this is the FEMA detail of the projects that are in play currently with FEMA. As you can see, there's $1.5 million that are active projects in the FEMA portal for public assistance projects, everything from water and wastewater through bridges, roads, and culverts, and emergency protective measures. A couple of these are also hazard mitigation projects. So all of these are in the FEMA portal, are in process, are moving forward with our PDMG. And so they are not under threat at this point of any kind of anything. Our disaster declaration happened well in advance of the shenanigans in Washington. So we feel pretty good. No one has said anything to us about these being at risk. So we're feeling pretty good about those going forward. So if I do this section by section, that might be it. So are there any questions on the FEMA piece of this?
You mentioned bridges and does that include the bridges over here?
No, those are federal highway.
Okay,
That's the
yeah,
next
I just
part.
want to make sure.
Yeah, no, so as a recap, FEMA is everything outside of Brook Road,
Yes,
right? And federal highway is everything on Brook Road.
okay.
So federal highway is the next section, and this is, Josh is taking the lead on this, but we, on the 9th of October, received the first reimbursement check for $210,426.46 for emergency measures, and there's another $655,301.79 expected, for a total $865,728.25. This is big money. This is all coming back to us. It's reimbursement that was spent to do all the emergency work on Brook Road. And the other permanent projects Josh is heading up, and as you know, the first ones, the Mill Street Bridge and the first bridge on Brook Road, are in process with Federal Highway, and Josh is managing our process there. So, so those still are moving along, and that's all good work. Any questions? Federal Highway. Good. Emergency watershed protection. I think I reported last time we spoke that things had been, we were on a pause, and then the federal government took the pause off, and we started to move things along again, and we were planning a meeting with the property owners, and then they furloughed the USDA folks. So we're in a hold again because we don't have anybody that we can work with to help us move into the next part of this, which would be meeting with the property owners and talking with them about what those next steps would be to get the engineering done and all the rest. So You have a question for me?
Yeah, I have a question. In the case of the community development block grant, that's the portion of riverbank stabilization along the Friends Meeting House and up the brook, up the downstream. The other three are private property owners.
They are.
So are all three property owners prepared to do the match?
No.
No, they are not. But there are two of the three that are awaiting buyout,
Sure.
right? And the one on Coburn Road, they're in a situation where they're probably not going to invest in it because they're going to have to leave the property ultimately. So that one's there. We know that 99 Brook, that's Sarah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that Sarah said she was in a position to do the match,
Yeah, okay.
so that's okay. And then the other one is 125 Berry Hill. What we heard was that they were trying to sell that property, and that within the sale, this grant would be kind of included, the match piece would be part of the purchase and sale. That was the last thing I heard from them, okay?
Thank you.
So that's the status of that. Those things may be different once we sit down again with the property owners, but, and as you know, we did include the match for the Martin Meadow, that, from the Friends Meeting House, that piece, because it was such a big project.
Right.
There wouldn't be any way that the property owners could pay for that. So that's why we included it in the CDBG-DR application.
Could I just ask, and was I mean, I understand the USDA folks are on pause, but I thought my understanding was that they had approved that one pending our match.
Well, all of them at this point are approved,
Okay,
but we haven't gotten into the next part of what would be contracting or any of that. So
okay,
with the property owners.
okay. But if we get unpaused, there's not an issue as long as the match.
No, everything is,
That's what I thought, thank you.
We're good to go once the once furlough is done, we're good to go. Okay. All right, CDBG-DR, we all know, was submitted on time and at 9.7 million. And we are currently preparing for the November 20th board meeting, where we'll have an opportunity to update the folks who reviewed based on anything new that's happened. In particular, the November 4th vote would be important to report on. The phase 1 NEPA work that should be completed by then and submitted, and any other contracting or things that have moved along. So we'll be able to update. What we do understand is that we have a very strong application. It is being, we've heard, not officially, but that of the ones for housing, it's very strong, and it makes a very strong case. So we feel really good about it, and we'll see where we end up, but that's where that is. I am currently working on a draft of a request for qualifications for project management, so that we're in a position to move pretty quickly on that if we hear we've got enough money to move. Because that's going to be a really important position to fill.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions on CDBG? We did also submit by October 15th to the regional priority project list the project that we submitted for CDBG because for the East Village, because it needed to be shovel ready, and we thought if we don't get all the money through CDBG, being on the priority list allows us to have a priority in terms of other grants. So it was a smart move to make, and it was the one that was ready to do. So that's been done. And the Great Brook study, checked in with Steve Libby of Vermont Emergency Management just to see where we are. And what he did say was that they've not received the official notification on the award, but think that they're going to sign a contract with SLR to do the scoping. And so what's gonna be important is that we have a person who is gonna be the main contact here in town. That person would have been Michael Zonner if he was still on the committee, he's not. So we're gonna need to figure out who is gonna be coordinating, and maybe it's George Springston, I don't know, but I haven't spoken with George yet about that. But he might be the best person, but just wanted to make you aware that we're gonna need somebody who can be that point. And he does understand that there's an urgency to get this work done, but here we are coming into winter. So that's where that is.
Sorry, go ahead.
Karen, connected question.
Yeah.
Theme of the night so far has been filling town commissions, committees, groups.
Yes.
So would you tell us, please, about the needs of the grants group?
Yeah, well, we thought we had a full committee, and so you heard earlier that Gail is dealing with long COVID, and I had a conversation with Ross Colgate a few days ago, and she has, for personal reasons and other priorities, has decided not to go forward with being the assistant grants administrator. Which saddens me greatly, but her reasoning is, it's very personal and something she wants to pursue that isn't this. She's working full time, so she only has limited hours to pursue other things, and so she is no longer available for support. So right now, the committee is me, and I'm going to work individually with Michael on the emergency management stuff, and I work with Josh on the federal highway stuff, and I'm handling FEMA, CDBG, and whatever else I can, but I'm still very much focused on recovery.
Yeah.
And things around recovery, and the other things, we need help, right? We need help.
Is there a number past which you wouldn't want to train?
Past which I wouldn't want to train.
Yeah, like 1, 2, 3 more people, 4 more people, 5 more
If they're
people?
talented and they have experience, some basis, an interest. I mean, 1 or 2 other folks who could be that support for the, I don't know when Gail is coming back, if she's coming back, but Arts and Rec needs somebody to help them, and Michael needs someone.
Yeah.
So, and ideally, this is, if you can't do it with volunteers, it's gonna be a big enough job that even if it's a part-time position in the next budget, like, it's one of those things that pays for itself. It's one of those positions, and I don't, personally, I'm not interested to have that job. I signed on for this, for the recovery piece, but I think ideally, it would be great to have, whether it's a part-time person who's skilled in grant writing, and it's a position, you'll absolutely get the money back. So that's my 2 cents for that in the budget. Because we've done well with volunteers, but everything has kind of fallen back now,
Yep.
and it's just me.
And think about Mike Zonda, there's no residency requirement, so it could be a Marshfield or East Montpelier person.
It could, if Michael wanted to work, yeah. But he's also retired as well, and so,
Yeah, he also has stuff going on.
and lots of stuff going on, right? But ideally, you'd find someone who is younger and who has an interest, and who a part-time position would be, a good thing for. Maybe they've got kids at school, whatever, but I think it's one of those jobs that we're seeing what the benefit is to apply for grants, and how much money we could bring into the town just because we're in the midst of this. But I think we've only really scratched the surface with all the other things if we had someone doing the job that they could be looking into and really generating. And on the side of revenue generation, because I know that's a big piece for Josh, that's one way to continue to have the town thriving, is to continue to bring money in, so.
A question on,
Yes.
and maybe for you and Josh, and I was gonna ask Josh later when we get to the audit question on the agenda, is, with FEMA and federal highways, and I don't know if some of these other studies, is there an administrative piece that can go towards offsetting that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Yeah, we'll see, we will see, with FEMA, there's something called Category Z, which is,
And are we doing that for you?
we have all of our hours, and yes.
Okay.
So the reimbursement for that, to the degree that it's allowable. It's a yes and no, because the way FEMA works is you have to have those positions kind of we started to talk about this really early in the process of recovery, but one of the things we should consider is putting a policy in place where if there is an emergency, there are positions that are activated that would be,
Yeah, I remember your
You know what I mean?
presentation last fall during
it was
budget.
a long time ago.
Yeah.
But that by doing that, FEMA then allows that all the hours for all those volunteers can count, right, and can be reimbursed. But if they weren't set up to be that way, then you won't get that money back. So
So that's FEMA,
that's FEMA,
okay.
yeah. And Josh, on the federal highway side, there's administrative and, yeah, within the grants.
So for permanent projects, like as we pay the vendors, we then submit for reimbursement. And the administrative time associated, it can go to the, it's called force account labor. And indeed, like if we were to take on any of that work ourselves, the equipment time would also be applicable for things like the excavators.
So reimbursing the highway department, basically, yeah. What about administration in the office?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, and also with emergency watershed protection, there's also funding that's, so
Okay,
everyone.
that's fine.
So
I
yeah,
don't
it's
need-
in there. It's
I don't
in
need
there.
any more detail, thank you.
So if we're really smart about it, then we'll generate income to cover it.
Yep.
Okay, and I did also update you on the fact that we're gonna be working on a new grant for emergency management with Vermont Community Foundation for Michael. So he and I'll be working tomorrow on submitting for another 80,000,
80,
80.
And that's the air conditioning, the lift, and the carriage house.
Yep,
that's correct.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so we'll be working on it.
great.
And if I may, also, that's the near-term stuff that we've been talking about for 3 months. The longer-term view also means more grants, which includes a salary for a GIS mapper next year after Sil retires, and also potentially to be the source by which the high school finally gets, or not the high school, the Twinfield School finally gets a generator, so they move out of that precarious position where they don't have any backup power in the event of a blackout. So these are bigger stories that need to be brought before you individually, but they are, in fact, we're constantly seeing ways in which we'd like to be able to utilize new funding sources to find resources for this.
Thank you.
Yep.
It's a good way to end, unless you have any other questions for me.
Any questions?
I just want to know, the $80,000 you're applying for, does any of that turn into any salary for you?
No, in the VCF loan, that's straight,
No,
no, there's no administrative
no.
in that.
yeah.
It's not a loan, it's a grant, sorry.
You have a question?
Yeah, have you, the next item on the agenda, identifying short and long-term funding
Oh.
grants with the grants group. Did you
I
cover
kinda
that or
had
not
hoped-
cover that?
I had hoped to have a conversation with you about that tonight, but since the group itself is not a group, and we didn't really have a chance to have a conversation about long and short term, at this point, if we could just push that back to another
Sure.
time, when it feels like it's time to have that conversation.
Well, I just had a thought on that. I mean, and you talked about other grants, and Michael just mentioned other grants and other committees, accessibility, others, people. I get the impression sometimes that we like try and do it all, and we can't do it all.
Right.
And so, there needs to be some priority setting, and so I think that is a longer discussion.
Right, yeah,
but-
I think so too.
Thank
you. So we'll do that again, another time. All right, thanks all.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Okay, town treasurer.
What did we spend money on? So, like, to kind of, because there was a lot of discussion around the flood and what we spent, want to pass those down. These are the, this is sort of a rough, write-up of, and that's the next thing I'll talk to you. So that first sheet is a rough write-up of kind of where in fiscal year '25, the last fiscal year, what were all, how did we actually pay for the things that we spent flood recovery money on? So one of the critical takeaways that I think we should emphasize is the money that we got from federal highway and FEMA for the 2023 flood is actually what allowed us to get this good of a financial position going into the 2024 flood. And because $300,000 of that money that we spent on the 2024 flood, it was from that reimbursement. So for like that money coming back is unallocated to anything. And so because it's a reimbursement of like expenses for emergency response. So like and then both FEMA and Federal Highway received 2 payments. So, and combined those $297,000 and change. Then cash on hand at the end of the fiscal year was $123,000. And then we reallocated the ARPA funds towards the needs of the town in that fiscal year. We had borrowed $85,000 from the revolving loan fund previous that we were still obligated to pay that back. I'm going to transfer that shortly now that we've received reimbursement. And then we received a loan from the Vermont Bond Bank for $1 million at 0.5% interest per year, simple interest. So the total of all of those non-general fund sources is $1,686,962.58. And in the fiscal year 25, we spent $1,749,105.06. So from general fund line items in the wash of things, we used approximately $62,000 of our general fund. Now, one way to think about this is there are things in the general fund that are for the things that we did for the flood recovery. Like, we didn't spend gravel on like all of the roadway that is still currently washed out, right? So we used, those were the funds. We had the accident, meaning that we had a big surplus in available funds from the labor budget in the highway department. And so that's what happened in fiscal year 25 and how we paid for everything. Now, we're still paying, of course, like, and so now that we have this $1 million obligation, I've been in discussions with Ken and Michael from the Vermont Bond Bank, and one of the things that they stressed to me was it's probably opportune for you to hold off on paying back any of that money until after we re-up that loan and until we get to that 50% threshold. So then begin paying that back, because we have 5 years when we go to renew this loan. If we pay anything back before we renew it, the renewal will not include the amount we've paid back. So if I pay some back and then we renew those terms if I pay 100,000 back, then we can only renew to 900,000, so we don't have as much liquidity. So the recommendation by them was, like, it might be a good idea to wait until you hit that threshold. And from the numbers that we're looking at, if you take not all of the FEMA categories, but if you just take B and C, combined with federal highway.
Is that somewhere on one of these sheets?
It's not.
It's not in my report here, though, it's the first page of my report,
Yeah,
has the FEMA projects.
So the reimbursements we're going to get from FEMA and from federal highway combined will cover most of what the expenditures in fiscal year '25 are. And then the things that we spent in FY '25 on flood recovery that isn't in those categories, they're a combination of stuff that will be reimbursed for category F, which is the water and wastewater. Now, we've replaced the drawdown of the reserve funds that happened in water and wastewater with that Vermont Bond Bank money. So when the town gets the reimbursement, the town still holds that money. We don't have to give that to the water and wastewater system. We were very lucky. The water and wastewater system has asset management and has robust reserve accounts and that have been re-upped and maintained year over year to handle capital improvements and has a really healthy fund balance that and like cash on hand per day that is very healthy. And today I sent over the draft financial plan for the water department, just the water, not the wastewater separate. Because working on getting a grant from to replace the wellheads and a section of the School Street water line. So we're writing for a grant for $108,000 to do those two projects. One is 48,000 and plus, and the other one's about 60. So putting in the putting that work in, we have to show like our net position, our cash on hand, number of days, and submit all this. And so I kind of gave that to you as a demonstration today I shared it with you all to kind of see what it's going to look like. For the most part, things are a little more complicated.
that's the spreadsheet you sent this afternoon?
It is.
Okay.
So, when you want to get an idea of what I'm going to deliver down the road, that's something of that kind of nature is what you should expect to see, like, long-term over the next 5 years, here's the capital investment that we need, here are the loans that we're obligated to pay back on schedule. So to give you an idea of the framework. Now,
So you're saying you're gonna produce something like that for the town, that we have for the water and wastewater?
yes.
Okay. I was wondering why you were sending us water and wastewater today, but it was like 4:30 this afternoon.
Well, I wanted you to have that to look at so that you understand, this is the kind of work that we have to do to get good terms with the bond bank, to easily get loans, and to understand how much we put up in a capital plan that we should have in place when we release the next town plan. Now, there's nothing compelling us to release a capital plan with the town plan, but I think it is not prudent to put forward a town plan without explaining how you're going to pay for the things that you put in the town plan. The 2021 town plan has the word capital 7 times in the document. If Control F, find capital with an A, not an O. And it comes up 7 times, and one of those times mentions the capital mutual aid fire district, so that doesn't count. So it's only mentioned 6 times, and there's no actual schedule of capital planning that I've been able to find anywhere that is of the type of document that I sent you that the Water Commission has. Like, that is the aspiration that I think I want to get to for the town. And so, you know, this is really tied into how we set taxes, how much we put into reserves, like the conversation earlier about the light pole. This pole we're gonna put in next year, how many years is it gonna last? And work backwards to figure out what we put in every year. Now, the other piece to that spreadsheet I sent you is it has a place to put in how many new units of water and wastewater you're going to add, and what does that affect on your system's bottom line? And so for 2025 fiscal year and 2026 fiscal year, there's some negative numbers in there in the next 3 years that are associated with the buyouts, we've lost other units of water along the way. It's not a buyout loss, but Lucky Day Ice had a catastrophe in their facility and they gave up making ice at that location, and so they lost 7 units of water. So in that spreadsheet, you'll see that I've put in the marker for the expected increase in units associated with the East Village expansion. Now, so that gets me to the other sheet that I want you to look at. And this is I did a very careful study of what the homes that we know that are destined for the buyout, combined with the notes that I got from you, Peter, from the Board of Abatement hearing, just
Right.
going by your amounts, this is how this pencils out. We can take the 2024 value and estimate its value without abatement by saying the pre-flood value would have gone up consistent with the grand list change in value. And then we can look at the 2025 real value and create an estimate of the values lost if all the buyouts happened, and then apply the municipal taxes and look at the difference of the estimated lost revenue for what has already occurred in lost revenue, which in the fiscal year we're in the 2025 tax season or fiscal year 26, like the percent of tax revenue that had to get redistributed was about 1.9% of that revenue. We couldn't get it from the places that would have paid because their taxes were abated, so everyone else had to share that. Now, if you take that and you add the after the buyouts, which would be $17,094 in addition to the $25,719.54, you get an estimated revenue that would have to be redistributed in this year if all the buyouts had occurred prior to releasing the municipal tax bill for 25. Obviously, that's not the case, but to kind of extend that and extend the using 2025 dollars, all the combined losses to revenue generation in 2025 tax dollars would be about $46,979. Now, only, that after buyout percentage that's in the future would be, for the 2024 is about 1.26%. So this is a tax hike out of loss in taxable value. So what I would expect using a very modest assessment of proposed values for that we could grow the grand list to make up for that eventual like diminishment of like potential revenue generation would be slightly greater than what we'd expect to lose overall. So as like, you know, should the East Village expansion get approved and the voters vote in that bond, this will offset those losses that are baked in. And and using a 60% of the median home value in Plainfield, median real value in Plainfield's $355,000. So 60% of that is $213,000. You take 40 parcels and then you subtract the value of the parcels associated, and you get a number that is just above what we would have lost by about 20%. So like, it's kind of if we were able to build enough value in that location through this project, it should offset what we have lost by my estimates. And like, there have been larger numbers about what is lost, but that is the net relative to the, everything else. So Goddard coming in, other growth in the grand list was not enough to take in all of that lost value. And so like, we still stand in our net position after all the buyouts go through to have the, for the kind of normalized taxpayer, irrespective of individual's tax bill, like, if it was all level, everyone would be paying more.
In other words, if the East Village expansion does not happen, everyone is paying more, period.
In the aggregate, in a normalized theoretical universal taxpayer, yes.
But if the East Village expansion goes through and the additional tax revenues gained from however many units of housing come up there,
yes,
we come out a little bit ahead.
And I used a very modest 60% of the median parcel value of 213,000, which I felt was like a good average for, what we might expect up there. If the average was below that in terms of like what is potentially assessed there, I'd be surprised if that was below the average. And like, so, when we think about like, we look at kind of last year's tax bill, like the paid up municipal tax, that first payment on the tax bill, when thinking about that revenue, like, we increased the amount of funds to be raised from taxes by 3%, and then the additional increase above that, like generalized, is this 1.9% estimated.
Thank you.
And then you were throwing some odd.
And that's net after Goddard
Yeah,
coming
that's-
on the list.
So like in the 2025 tax year that we've paid, it's, Goddard is in that assessment.
Yeah.
Like, it has a real value as well. So like so even after throwing the current assessment of Goddard in, it didn't overcome like that theoretical loss on what is known to be abated and will be in the buyout, per conversations with Arian Taboonery, the buyout coordinator, as of like 2 weeks ago. And
Well, even,
Yeah.
I mean, folks were abated in one tax year. We did not abate in this tax year on those properties, but those properties were taxed at a much reduced level.
yes, that
Yeah.
is like, so like if no value had shrunk, right, in that abatement in '24, right, you would see like they would be generating more revenue for the municipality.
Right.
Like,
No, it's good work.
and what else were you gonna ask me about?
You have audits.
Is that the next item?
Yeah.
This was the only proposal we got, the deadline was the 15th. We should take it and get on with it, and we are obligated to do it under the terms of the borrowing for that emergency MCRF loan. And we circulated the proposal, multiple locations, and and I've talked to other municipalities about the audit, and like municipal finance folks at the DLCT, and everybody seems to be like, yeah, good. And so I would recommend the select board approves that proposal, is just so I can hurry up and get it going. Because it is an important piece to get in place and going so that we can re-up that loan from MCRF.
Question?
Yes.
So you gave us this for 2025 would be 32.5 for the year that's already done, and we would do that this year. And then the next two numbers, 33.5, 34.5, would be in the successive years. And to those numbers, we would add the federal single audit, which will be required. Which is another roughly 7,000 each one. 7 plus 4, maybe 11. Depending on how they break up the federal funds. In your response to my email about the vacancies of the audit positions on the webpage, you said and cited the statute, we're required to fill those positions unless we, as a town, change that. Would you recommend that we do that we eliminate the auditors as appointed/elected positions and go to permanently paying for audit?
Advocating for CPA audits as the treasurer is like punching myself in the face. It's because it is a bigger ask of because it functions as a quality assurance, quality control against the financial officer of the town.
But what quality control do we get from vacant people?
None.
Exactly.
And so, over the next 5+ years, absolutely we should get a professional auditor. Now, one thing, if we had a cadre of auditors, we could assign those auditors particular roles in the financial controls of the municipality.
You guys look at this part, you folks look at that part.
Right,
Yeah.
breaking up the roles, you essentially want to have a triangle of activities so that the person who is writing the checks, approving the invoices, reconciling the accounts, the auditor for a municipality isn't strictly an auditor in the sense of how you think of it in doing a.
Okay, you don't have to answer that question tonight.
All right.
I think you've answered it sufficiently, and I think also, we need to recognize the fact that this town has gone through a significant change in staffing. We're several town clerks away from the last kind of real audit we had here. And so, yeah. So I think, we are quite prudent to have a professional audit at this point in time with the new people in place, with the new bookkeeping in place, to say, okay, clean slate, here we go, here we are moving forward. And we're going to need this federal single audit and the professional audits for the federal highways and FEMA stuff for the next couple of years anyway. At that point, if I'm hearing you, maybe we can go back to locally elected and appointed folks.
What I'm saying is, the locally elected and or appointed folks can fulfill a role in the financial robustness of the town, even though we have these audits that are required of us by institutions.
I think what might be helpful for the website, because we are going to still have vacancies that we need to appoint, is that if we had a little blurb, a sentence or two, because I think just to say we need an auditor, someone looks at it and says, well, I'm not an auditor, and like the discussion goes no further. I think we need to say, hey, you can do this.
There are ample descriptions, resources, and elaborations available from BLCT that you can lean into.
Okay, all right. Well, with that in mind, I would move that we accept the Sullivan and Powers proposal for auditing.
I second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. For unanimous. So you're going to activate that process?
Yeah, so then we'll get a contract and bring that to the next agenda.
What I'm hearing you say too is that we can still use those volunteers to help us as in the management role, but we are going to need professional review for the sake of the state and the feds.
Like, absent another component person in a financial role in the office, the auditors are the choice. So
Yep.
volunteer auditor or elected or appointed.
I mean, last
Thanks.
year, we appointed two people, like at the last possible moment, just so
Really
we,
the
just so we could get the town report mailed out for town meeting.
Yeah.
So it would be really good if we could get somebody in
Yeah.
before then.
Any appointment expires on town meeting day.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anything else that you want to bring forward?
Not in my brain right now.
Sounds like your brain is pretty full. Okay, the ADA grievance procedure? Somebody say something? Oh, is that you, Alicia?
It is. I just had to let my dog out. When we met with Kendra LaRoche of the Special Needs Support Center, one of the pieces we discussed was the necessity for the town and the advisability in a protective sense to have a grievance procedure posted, an ADA grievance procedure posted on the town website. And there's fairly standard boilerplate language for this. Dawn Fancher and Mary Lane are also here, so they can chime in as needed. We looked at it, and because of our capacity and also trying to, as a small town, and also trying to think about delays that may occur in the ability of somebody with a disability to file a complaint, we recommended extending some of the timelines. It's a multi-stage process. You need to submit the complaint, and then we need to respond. And originally it was as a town within 15 days. I don't want to recap what I already sent you. We need to meet with the person within 15 days. And it just all seemed a little, however we go about this, it seemed difficult for a town of this size. I mean, this is sort of crafted with, I think, the assumption of a larger entity. So we recommended extending, doubling those calendar days. But another piece of that was that, you know, there are two key roles here, an ADA coordinator, which the entity, municipal entity is supposed to have, and a city manager, county commissioner / other appropriate high-level official to whom appeals would go if the ADA coordinator was unable to resolve the matter to the satisfaction of the complainant. And typically that upper level entity is someone to whom the ADA coordinator reports. That's just generally how it goes. Originally, there had been some discussion about, well, should the Accessibility Advisory Committee as a whole serve in the role of the ADA coordinator, because it does require expertise with Title II training. And we weren't aware of anyone, nor was Kendra LaRoche, the Special Needs Support Center, aware of anyone on staff with extensive Title II training. But when we met and talked about that piece, Dawn raised some very good issues, which, I mean, we're all concerned with our capacity. We're a very small committee. There are 3 of us. We have our own health issues. And these are time-limited processes. But aside from capacity, one of the questions that got raised is, do we, I mean, we're merely an advisory committee. We don't have any decision-making authority. Do we have the necessary authority to handle complaints, to, in the words of the policy or the procedure, explain the position of the town and offer options for substantive resolution of the complaint?
What did you discuss as options if it wasn't the committee?
If it
looking at
isn't,
these complaints?
yeah, if it isn't the committee, as I noted in the memo I sent you, the other option is to have someone on staff trained fairly extensively with Title II, about Title II requirements, and assign that duty to a staff member. That might also in some ways be cleaner because, you know, as volunteers and residents of the town, I wonder if in the case of a contentious claim or complaint, and what is viewed as an unfavorable recommendation or resolution from us, if there might be, you know, the question of conflict of interest. Is someone someone's friend or not someone's friends? I think that's endemic to just being a small town at any rate. But the other option is getting someone on staff trained and assigning this piece to them.
Okay, yep, that's, yeah, that's gonna be difficult probably just to find, but I can understand that that would be the best, probably.
Right. Also, you know, it's not a matter of someone just coming up with a suggested resolution off of the top of their head. Typically, whether it's about town meetings, whether it's about facilities, whether it's about some other function of the town, to even make recommendations about a resolution is going to require significant back and forth, probably with other town officers and entities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I read it through, I thought that the changing times was logical and good recommendation. There weren't too many other changes that I saw from the kind of the format that you started with. Yeah.
All right. And the other recommendation would be that in the role of city manager, county commissioner, et cetera, that to handle appeals, that the select board would handle that, just because at the point that it reaches an appeal, and I don't think we're going to get a lot of these complaints, knock on wood here, but I think that once you get someone who has been offered in good faith some suggestions, some options, if that cannot be reconciled, that's the case at which you really tend to need, in my experience, for handling complaints and Office for Civil Rights complaints. That's when you need to direct access to legal counsel, which the Select Board has. So I don't think you'd be increasing your workload dramatically by taking on that role. Again, I don't think we're going to get a lot of these complaints. I don't think that if we do, I don't think if we get complaints, I think they're going to be probably resolved by fairly obvious mechanisms. But in the case, you get something where it's really contentious, or to be somewhat cynical, what an attorney friend of mine used to call, well, at this point, it's an attempt at a money grab. You want someone who handles the appeal, who can pick up the phone and talk to an attorney. So that was the rationale behind that piece.
Okay. Can I ask the board for thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm remembering our meeting with Kendra, who kind of articulated the import of having this grievance procedure. She seemed to suggest that the most important thing was to have a method, for people with concerns or problems about ADA compliance to get the messages where they need to go. And so I think where I'm at is, I think we can call this like a provisional entry. And I think the simplest low-hanging fruit for entry here is for the accessibility committee to be named as the ADA coordinator, and the select board to be named as the city commissioner, whatever role.
Right.
And I think that gets us off the ground, that gets us into compliance, that furthers the effort. And in terms of employees who could eventually sit for the training that Alicia mentioned, I know our town staff is still in question. Do we have a town administrator? If we did, that would be a role that I would offer as a potentially good one to have taken that training. And then otherwise, for the feedback for the grievance procedure, a note from Jamie Hammock of the town office, and one that I agree with, is simply to change the his/her language to their language.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Inclusivity.
Yep.
But otherwise, that's my thoughts. Thank you very much.
I think that's thank you for this. And I don't know if the board wants to act on this, but I think your logic is sound for me. Have the committee do an initial review because they're aware of the regulations, and then have the board review on a second level if it's necessary.
Yeah.
My thought is that without this, what do people do? They're going to call the town clerk's office, make a complaint. Bram will give us a report of the town clerk's report, and it'll come to the select board anyway. This at least puts a skeleton out there that everyone can see and relate to, and we go with that. So you use the term provisional or whatever. I think, yeah.
I'm seeing Dawn's hand up.
Yeah.
John?
Yeah, I was the one who had the concern about, about having the accessibility committee act as the ADA coordinator in this capacity. And I still do have that concern because we're just an advisory committee. We have no authority. We have limited knowledge of the inner workings of the town on a day-to-day basis, or in systems or infrastructure. And just as much as any more concerned citizen who pays attention a little bit more. And so I just would I kind of try to imagine what would happen. And I think we could offer someone complaining a lot of listening and understanding maybe of what they're saying, but I don't we don't have any capacity to offer any solutions, really. So that would add like negotiation, that we can't just like talk with the other people in the town. Like I feel like it's putting us in like I feel awkward about the position I would be asked to be put in if we were doing.
My sense is that the committee, because you're obviously passionate about this issue, is the one to hear the issue and then present that to the board, to the select board. If there's a need for a ramp somewhere, and that's an issue that you agree with, then that's the kind of thing you could bring to the select board. I don't think there's anybody else in town who would be the best listener than your committee. That's my sense of it.
And I think I would add that I'm going to hold my thought. Alicia, I see your hand.
No, go ahead. I prefer to hear what you say because my comment might be altered by that.
I guess I want to invite utter transparency, Don. If, you receive a grievance and you're like, uh-oh, punt. You get to be transparent. I don't have capacity. I don't have the knowledge. Nobody else on the committee does either. We're going to send you right to the select board. And, meanwhile, as Carl just said, some of the function of the grievance procedure is to feel heard, to feel acknowledged, and to feel recognized in the challenge that an individual is having in town in some kind of way. And I kind of agree that the accessibility committee may actually very well be an effective greeter to these people, theoretical and actual, who have grievance with facility.
People don't want to just be heard, they want a solution, and I don't think we're at all capable of offering solutions on our own. So if we bring it to the select board, there's no mechanism in the policy for that.
I think what I'm asking for is the committee to bring to the select board the issue, and with possible solutions, but you're not being asked to come up with a solution. The board doesn't want to have to rehash an entire, we don't have the time to rehash the entire issue. But if you could consolidate it to something that says, well, we really need a ramp here and it has to meet the ADA standard and so on, that's something we can work with. But if somebody says, well, I don't have a way to get into this building, now we're not trained either in how to come up with a solution. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'd like to see a step between the select board and the person who has a grievance. I guess that's my point.
Can I'm sorry, I don't have a way I don't know how to hold my hand up. So can I just jump in here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think I was at that meeting because I've been sick when Alicia and Don were talking about that, or if I was, I don't remember. But I think we can handle it. I think we can listen. I think Alicia has a wealth of knowledge of various agencies and things. If it's not anything that maybe we can handle as a town, or if it's something that can be handled outside of the town or more easily. So I do think we can handle it. And I do have somewhat of a knowledge of the town through water, wastewater. I've been doing this forever. So I guess, Don, I think we're okay. I really do.
I personally am not. I don't have the capacity to be thrown something so important and so big without me being able to plan when it happens. So I might have to leave the committee, but I have to think about that a little bit more.
Well, you wouldn't be the only person though. You'd be with all three of us.
Yeah. I'll give it some thought.
Go ahead, Michael. We have another thought here.
One of the things that can help satisfy
Can you say your name?
all of the things that have been expressed so far is just like the road complaint report that's on the website. We could have in the accessibility area of the town website a form for a person to provide whatever would be the basis of their complaint. In other words, it would be just, if you see an issue and you're concerned with it, here's how to report it, and have a form there. That actually satisfies, and then that would be, that form would be gathered by the accessibility committee, and they would pass it on to the select board. In other words, they would be the one who would see it first, but it would be in some kind of a formalized way of asking the question, so it doesn't draw a great deal of time. The form already provides its own answers.
Actually, we do have something like that. I just have to work out one final glitch with Josh in the last month and a half of my life has been really consumed, so I've not been able to do that small step, but we do have something like that already. It's going to be, once it's up, it's called the barrier reporting, accessibility barrier reporting form. So it can be, is it an accessibility because of practice or because of something that's physical? We're not just talking about, you know, a tree fell in front of my wheelchair. But that, and I think that is going to be really useful as a front runner because that also offers a place for people to identify one-time incidents. And really what I had included in the that I hadn't mentioned in the memo to the select board is for this formal procedure, we want to include something that really gives people an idea of what discrimination is as it's legally understood. And discrimination isn't a one-time sort of what we used to in higher ed call a bias incident. It's systemic, so that people have two levels of places. You know, something happened, it was really offensive, I couldn't participate. They can go to the barrier reporting form. This is for a more formal and perhaps complex and systemic a complaint of more of a systemic discrimination or an exclusion. So yeah, Michael, great thought. We thought great minds think alike. We're working on that as well. I'm not personally really concerned about, you know, again, I don't think we're going to get a huge number of these. I'm not concerned about the knowledge capacity of dealing with this, but I think Dawn, I'm very concerned if Dawn's going to leave excuse me, I have to close my door. I've got a hysterical dog. I'm very concerned if this is going to push Dawn to leave because we've been trying to elicit, you know, membership, invite more membership, and you know, three of us it is pretty slim anyway. But you know,
I think,
the Title II stuff doesn't worry me. It's more what Dawn brought up about, do we actually have the authority to propose solutions, or do we have to come to you guys? In other words, if we had, because again, we're not even a standing committee with decision-making process, so you're not to worry the point of authority, but it does kind of concern me. If we saw that there was someone had a complaint, we talked to a few people in various offices, had a solution. Do we need to come to you guys anyway before we offer that solution to the complainant?
I just see that the board or the town clerk need a filter between somebody who has an issue and a resolution.
And instead of
You know, yeah, and somehow, even if all it is understanding what the issue is, so the committee could present it to the board, that would really be a huge help. Otherwise, we'll have, you know, if there's somebody with an issue, they'll come right to the board or go right to the town clerk's office. And it's not very efficient to do that, I'm afraid. And you're right that you don't have to come up with a solution. And we may not be able to come up with a solution, but we can call in resources to help us. And that's fine. But I really would like to see a step in between.
And I was going to
oh, sorry.
without thinking about it in terms of authority, think about it in terms of a brainstorm. Like you are brainstorming potential solutions.
Yeah.
Maybe there's one, maybe there's 10 potential solutions, who knows, depending on the problem. But then that person, the person who's filing the grievance gets the benefit of y'all putting in any thought, and any care and concern, and then passing that on to us if needed for any next steps.
Can we
That's
do
pretty,
this? I'd like to keep this moving, but can we ask you to go to Josh and get that, that forum figured out? You said you were working with him on that. Or even just send him something that we could put on the website. That could be a first step. I think if we do this in steps, we don't have to anticipate all the things that can happen that are bad, but that's a step. That's really, I think, could be really useful. I think it's a good idea to have the ability for somebody who has an issue to present it and just see what happens.
Since I have your ears, there was some back and forth, I know, with Francis Rose about this. One of the contingencies of us having the disability-friendly town designation, which would bring us resources from the Special Needs Committee for the Title II assessment, evaluation, and planning, and also possibly assistance with grant making. One of the requirements was that two people in the office undergo some Title II training. And I know it wasn't clear who was going to do it, at least two people. Has there been any further thought about that?
I see Josh with a hand up. As in, you're willing to take the training, Josh? Josh is willing. And then, yeah. Have you spoken with anybody else within the town office about it?
This is the first I heard about it.
Okay.
Okay, well, it sounds like there's some steps we can take to get this pushed forward, and appreciate your sending us out this this plan. That's very helpful.
I mean, I guess just to acknowledge the missing piece here, perhaps at the end of this.
Yes.
Like, we had considered the possibility of a vote on this policy, but I guess I want to ask the Accessibility Committee, would you like us to hold off on this vote, revisit the matter until you've all had a chance to kind of come to consensus about the parties named as the ADA coordinator?
I would say,
mean-
I think we have to talk about it.
Yep.
Right.
I
And we
mean,
have an upcoming meeting.
I was just say, if I'm the only outlier, then I don't want to hold everything up, though. So it's okay.
I see the amount of emotion present. I want to, I guess, invite that y'all have a chance to discuss this, and we can revisit this and pass this without the discussion next time if the choice is made to go with the Accessibility Committee as the accessibility advisor.
Yeah, Peter?
Yeah, I'm fine with not hurrying here. The Accessibility Committee is new.
Yeah.
This is a new effort. Our relationship with Kendra and her outfit is new. And so I don't think we have to solve everything all at once.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we'll put this to a future meeting. I don't know which one, but future one.
Thank you all.
Okay,
Thanks.
bye.
Okay, we got to get a bunch of things here. Vermont, I'm sorry, the animal control ordinance discussion. Do we have anything about that? Yes.
So Bram and I have been talking with several folks, Peter Yasis on animal control, Karen Story on zoning, Jody Velarde, excuse me, on health officer, and Dan on traffic and parking.
Okay.
Not to be confused with the other agenda item here.
Yeah.
And all of us have communicated with Trevor Whipple from the League of Cities and Town, former Barry City Police Chief, who's the consultant on the municipal ticketing thing. We have made a different amount of progress on each of those 4 fronts.
Okay,
Right, it's not all happening at once. I had thought that we would get close to the animal control. Where we are at the moment is we have a current ordinance, which has a progressive fining system with a waiver system in it. It also has a clause that allows the animal control officer to go on private property, which is a constitutional violation of privacy rights. And the league, Trevor Whipple says, your ordinance probably works, but you should probably get rid of that piece. He also then sent us a model ordinance, which the league sends out to all towns. And I just got that, and I'm doing a crosswalk. And the last communication I sent out to Bram and Peter was, which approach would you rather us take? Taking the current ordinance and adjusting it, or adopting the model and making sure we crosswalk? And I started doing a crosswalk, and one of the things I noticed is that the model ordinance is for dog and wolf hybrids, whereas ours includes camelids, if I'm pronouncing that correct, which would be like llamas,
yeah.
for example. So it's not just a dog and wolf hybrid. So I think we have to look and see there. So I would appreciate, and I sent that out to Peter Yassis a few days ago and haven't heard anything back.
Okay.
So we don't have anything to bring to you tonight except that update, and to say, do you have a preference as to which approach we take? Amending our current by taking out that offending clause, or adopting the model, bringing over whatever substantive differences there is.
Is the model, oh, I'm sorry, Dan.
In my experience, people will find, oh, sorry, Dan Caddy,
Yeah.
Plainfield Constable. I have found that anytime there is a loophole in language, people will exploit that. So if the policy is worded as dog and wolf hybrid, there's any number of things. We have a lot of different animals that Peter could be called to, so I think something that kind of covers the range.
If we had a out-of-control llama, then that wouldn't cover it.
Right, so that speaks to us bringing the substance of our current policy,
Yep.
but not the model. The current policy does have that clause which he strongly recommended we drop. So it sounds, Dan at least, seems to be suggesting the guidance is stick with our current, because it's more inclusive, but just make sure that it follows the structural of the model policy, as opposed to taking it over to the model policy.
Yes.
Yeah, I think either way, or just take the language of what the policy applies to over to the model, because my initial read would be, if it's coming from VLCT, it's been reviewed, compared across what other people are doing, and it gives the town another.
Yeah, I mean, we have a definition section, they have a definition section, they have some things defined later in the application section that we have in the definition, so that,
It sounds like it's a little more work.
it's a little more work.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the work so far, but it sounds like we're not going to do anything tonight.
Also reminds me that I need to get you this stuff on the parking lots.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be away until Thanksgiving week, so.
Gives me time.
Yeah. No trespass policy.
Would you like me to pull up to the owl, or?
Just to make sure you're heard, Dan. Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I sent you all the documents with an overview with that. It was, and a lot's lost in translation, so I wanted to communicate clearly in person that this is not meant to replace a camping ordinance. It's not meant to replace any other things we may take out as the town navigates. How do we want to handle this, being compassionate while also taking into account very real issues and concerns over public safety, public health. This is a very limited use, last ditch resort where, in a specific circumstance, it's not just that somebody's there, it's that they're there and they're presenting a clear and documented and unceasing threat to public safety or public health. Here's an example of the gentleman who was camping in the Mill Street Park. I went by, I talked to him, he was pleasant, he was friendly, he's like, hey, I don't have anywhere to go. There was no trash, there was no, threatening behavior. That was one where, hey, I get it, maybe this isn't the place. If there's another place, I'd be happy to, bring my car over, help you move. I'll offer them resources for capstone and the other stuff. That is not a no trespass.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that individual were there in the rec field or the park and ride, and like some of the ones I've encountered where when I get out of the car, it smells like I'm in a sewage treatment plant. There's trash everywhere, syringes, other stuff. In one case, gentleman had dogs barking all hours of the day and night, was verbally harassing and accosting people walking by. People were scared to come enjoy out of their house and enjoy their property. In the contact I made with him, I was greeted to a 20-minute rant about how DCFS was trafficking children and he was going to burn down all of them. That was very entertaining. So that was one where I followed the procedure we have with parking ban. There's the 72-hour written notice. But if you figured out, he could just move each camper a foot. And there was nothing else. There was no mechanism for me to do anything in regards to the people that were going. I obviously referred them to VSP. There were calls. VSP came out the next day, and the trooper on the scene gave me a call, gave me the rundown. He's like, okay, well, we don't really have anything to go on, but we're gonna make it plainly clear that that written notice needs to be followed. So we achieved the end goal with that because our bluff wasn't called.
Mm-hmm.
So in that instance, as part of a progression, I stop by, have a friendly conversation. Hey, I understand times are tough. We have a parking ordinance, this is not a place to stay long-term. You need help getting where you're going, offer the help. It's not looking like we'll be moving, written notice of violation of the parking ordinance. Then when these other things start piling on, come back and there's trash. I'm getting reports of, a clear articulable threat to public safety or public health. Document names, times, reports, take photos, trash, other stuff like that, presenting a thing. And that would be a case where I would come to the select board and say, hey, this is impacting everybody else's ability to use public property. So this is not a blanket, you can't public on public property, it's this one individual in this specific circumstance is negatively affecting the enjoyment of that public property for everybody else. Issue a no trespass order, provide VSP notice of service with that, with the individual's name, etc. They log it. If they come back or they do not leave, that's a call to VSP. And I spoke with the patrol sergeant for Berlin Barracks, and he said, yes, that's something they would enforce, and it actually gives them an easy way to do so. They look it up, no trespass order, show up, person's there. So it's not the town enacting a ordinance or a criminal statute or anything like that. It's already on the books in 13 VSA, I think 3705, that deals with trespassing. Municipalities have the same authority as a private landowner. There's just constitutional concerns. So in my conversation with Trevor and the VLCT attorney, it was one of those that said, you are 100% right. Everything here is by the book. And it boils down to one of those things, just because you can, doesn't mean you should. There were two cases in particular, the most recent one out of Newport, where a town official issued a no trespass order to an individual, has history with the town, for something that was a first offense, said he was threatening town workers at a campground, so they no trespassed him from that property and a property a mile away that he wasn't at. So due to that broad nature of it, one of the other things they didn't have was an appeal process. If you look at the document I sent with the notice of trespass, it follows case law and all the relevant guidance that here is this, here is the length of time, You have 7 days to appeal to the select board, who'll then hold a hearing within 14 days, state your case. So it's kind of one of those things, you can be right or you can be happy. We could be right, but does the town want to take a chance that somebody decides to make an issue of it and engage the town in litigation over constitutional issues? I'm a huge believer in constitutional freedoms myself. I think that the way the no trespass policy and all the associated things is worded, it's not saying you can't be here because we don't like you. It follows a progression where things are clearly documented to a specific instance of behavior that I feel would 100% stand up in court. Even if we had it, do I see it ever needing to be used? I hope not, but one of the things I hate since taking on this position is when I have people calling me, articulating these things and asking that I do something, and having to say there is nothing I can do. Outside of, I reflect back on what we went through up on Bean Road, which was a several-year process to bring people some peace. And I'm not one to, when I bring up a problem, I'm always going to propose a solution, which is why I spent the time to put that together. Happy to answer any questions. I just felt important that I show up in person and articulate, the frame of thought and the background that went into it, and kind of stem any assumption that this is a end run around a compassionate and comprehensive camping ordinance and other thing. This is a very limited thing that I hope we don't need.
It sounds like you made this system work without us having an ordinance or anything beyond that, because it was a safety and health issue, and you were documenting a lot, and you were reporting, but you're also saying that could have been called, we could have gotten called on that. Is that
so what
I'm
in
hearing?
Reference to the parking?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you would have read, because I include the text copy of the ordinance.
Yes.
And the violation.
Right.
Oh, it says I must move it. So if somebody just moved it forward a foot every 71 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. So we may want to modify. Yeah, Graham.
Dan is not the only town official who receives calls regarding these sorts of incidents. I am as well.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, there are two very difficult situations that are ongoing. One has been ongoing for 5 years. And it is incredibly frustrating to really just tell, decent people who are just going about their business that, well, there's nothing I can do. And I've been saying that for years.
Well, we had Louis Scott here last time, right? We had Louis Scott here last time.
Yeah, that's one of them.
That was kind of
There's another situation that drags on and on and on.
Yeah. So what would you recommend that this board do that would help you?
Well, I think that obviously there are pitfalls in terms of litigation that pursuing no trespass orders involve. But I think in the hands of people who are doing the work, i.e. documenting, that it could be a tool in our toolbox that we might employ in drastic situations.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's obviously something that there needs to be a case-by-case formal discussion and the confidence of the select board that we have crossed our T's and dotted our I's in terms of making this proposal. This isn't a casual thing, but there are a number of things, pick your poison in terms of people feeling that, we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And that's really an erosion. I mean, I think it's great Dan took this approach, and in this one instance it worked, but there are two other instances where it's really not working.
Not gonna work, yeah. So we need to have the language that will help make it work, I guess.
Yeah, in the conversation with BLCT's attorney today, he said, like, frankly, if you guys don't adopt this, I'm gonna steal this package and recommend it to others out. So it's there. What I would recommend as the next step is have a discussion. I know Trevor and their attorney Justin, after I followed up with them and said, hey, their main thing was, the first question to answer is, would VSP even enforce this? Because if you're gonna take on the prospect of putting this thing on the books, then they're not gonna respond to enforce a no trespass order, then you're kind of just spinning your wheels.
What's the point, yeah?
So after that conversation, I had a conversation with VSP, and then, yeah, no problem.
Okay.
So I relayed that to them. I said, all right, well, we're gonna talk, figure it out. So I would recommend that the select board or one of the designees talk to them and get a sense of, should this be something we use? Like I said, it wouldn't be first choice. It would just be something in the back pocket.
For those extreme conditions or situations that you can run into, or could run into.
And if nothing else, one of the points they brought up was, well, case on others, if something's rising to the cause of you needing to no trespass, and there's other criminal acts associated there, disorderly conduct, threats, verbal abuse, something like that, so that should be the mechanism to get them there. And my point to that was, okay, VSP has, say, 4 troopers on shift covering a guy in a camper yelling at people walking by in Plainfield. That's a big deal to us. Not necessarily to, it just, there's vehicle crashes, there's felonies, there's this, there's that. But the no trespass order violation is a clear cut. There is a crime being committed here, it's documented. Whoever witnessing, I know for a fact this person has a no trespass order, they are here trespassing. They look it up in their system. That's an instant. Even if they can cite them for it, they cannot, but it provides a response for that contact. And, you know, in the case of people under the influence of substances, such as the last one, that gets VSP there, who have way more power than I do. And so, as part of that contact, drug paraphernalia in open view, open container in the car, it gives them a thread to pull at to utilize law enforcement power, which the town does not have. And that was my counterpoint. Yes, there's a crime being committed, but we don't have a police department. You got a bald guy who has conversations with people. So
Very effectively, I might add.
when those fail, here's a way I can get.
Yeah.
Yeah, first I want to thank you. It's like a solid plan. I appreciate your creation of the plan itself. The addition of a strategy that can help break stalemates. It seems like there are stalemates that arise, and it's nice to be able to move a thing forward. 3 questions. Well, I guess one is an acknowledgement. Yes, I hear that we need to talk to Vermont State Police. Will they respond to a no trespass ordinance being issued?
Oh, I already talked to them, they will.
They will?
Yep.
Okay, you already did that. And I guess, is this what I heard from Bram, a friendly amendment around adding to the policy that you've created, to add a step where there is a select board confirmation, where the constable is seeking from us a confirmation to go ahead with the trespass ordinance? Or no, sorry, is that what?
The notice of trespass.
The notice of trespass?
I think that would be smart, at least in the interim, because then it's not just me going, oh, I think this, I have to come to the select board, and that could be via email, it could be in person, it could be a Zoom call of, hey, I'm requesting this and here's why.
Considering timeliness, I think setting it up so that email is okay
I would agree with that, yeah, because if you wait for a select board meeting, the issue could
No,
be gone.
it would be on as a, hey, here's the thing, I'm requesting this, that way it's not just one person, I have to make a case and convince 5 other people that this is the thing.
And one last piece here, is there such a thing as litigation insurance? Can we get insurance as a town, so in case we get taken to court about any of this?
I can look into it.
That'd be great.
The other thing, I think email, obviously, in terms of expediency, would be great, except we have an open meeting.
Open meeting, yeah.
And it would violate that. So what I would say is perhaps the select board might designate one member to listen to this. And I don't know.
Or a two-person, two of us.
Well, 2-person, yeah, that would be okay too.
That would be okay.
I don't
I
know.
like 2 people.
Because per the policy, once the select board establishes an authorized official, which would be me or the town clerk, in actuality, be me going and doing the thing, that adding that layer onto it is not necessary. I think it's smart to go above and beyond. So
So it would help you
it would.
to have another backing.
And it would help the town.
Yeah.
Because, again, if I can't convince 1 or 2 members of the select board
Right.
that this makes sense, then I'm not making a coherent argument, or there's not enough evidence to substantiate that. Also, it ensures that it's not just me, that other people have a clear sense of, here is what is going on.
Considering that we're acknowledging the diciness of pressing this button, I appreciate the opportunity for some portion of this board to weigh in on the decision before it's taken.
Yeah.
My question I gotta ask, is there any recourse for these people? Is there any help? Is there any, I mean, they're good.
I have in many cases, the 2 cases that I'm thinking of in particular, I have had discussions with Washington County Mental Health, and that has not proved to be particularly effective.
Because I mean, we're trying to get these people out of the situation, yes, but where are they gonna go? They're gonna bring themselves somewhere else to wreak havoc somewhere else.
This isn't specific to homelessness. There is one individual who's engaging in continuous antisocial behavior, and he's mentally ill.
I did hear that, and I wanna know, where is he gonna go? Where are we?
No, he can go anywhere he wants. He just has to stop doing this incredibly destructive behavior. It's not about pushing him on. It's saying, please don't do this. There are consequences. Right now, there are no consequences for this behavior.
And it's limited to specific areas. Like, you can't just say all town property.
Right.
It has to be tied to, if the issue is at the park and ride, and that's where the person's preventing the issue. Hey, now here, another example I think of, people ripping through the rec field on dirt bikes.
Yeah.
While there's kids' birthday parties going on. Figure out who you didn't necessarily catch from the act, somebody catches a plate number, or it's going on, I get down there, I observe it, I'm a first-hand witness. We can then issue a no trespass order to, hey, you cannot come and ride dirt bikes on the rec field. So the next time they show up, I don't have to go down there. Any resident that sees those people can call and reference a no trespass order, and that triggers a response. Now, are they gonna arrest the kids ripping around on dirt bikes? No, but it provides more of a mechanism to, back when I was a kid and did dumb stuff, I'd get loaded in the car and take it home to my parents and have it explained what I did. And that was, I would rather gone to jail. But it provides an avenue to do something more, and again, it's providing a mechanism to prevent specific behavior on a specified property, not a blanket, you can't be on public ground because we don't like you.
And the dirt bike would be a situation where you could check with two of the select board members, just to confirm that this makes sense and that we would like you to
Yeah,
proceed.
hey, just to play that one out, let's
Yeah.
say the dirt bike thing. Hey, they left the rec field, they went this way. I go down, I see a resident's got a Ring doorbell camera. I see the description of the bike, driving back, post a picture of it, say, oh yeah, kid lives right down the road, so trace that back, figure out who it is, go have a conversation. Hey, I know it's you. There's plenty of other places to ride dirt bikes, not the rec field, especially not when there's kids' birthday parties going on.
Yeah.
This has to stop, and if not, I'm gonna have to escalate this further. Hopefully that stops it.
I
If
think
not-
just that attention is gonna stop a lot of it.
But if not, and just keeps going back, then that becomes, again, that progression, yes, no trespass order, and then.
Okay, Peter?
I've been quiet.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the work Dan put into this. We've gone back and forth, several emails on this. And I've had a conversation with Trevor Whipple. He asked me to give him a call, so we had an extended conversation. Trevor's advice to me after talking to the passive general counsel, which is the insurance company that we have, is don't do this. He thinks it's well written, it's well done, but a couple of things have come up. Getting someone to enforce will be an issue. Not so much if you have somebody who's being violent and threatening, et cetera, but someone who's putting raw meat in the trash or spreading trash around or something like that, getting law enforcement to come and enforce that is not going to be a priority. In terms of the dirt bikes, that's already a violation of our traffic ordinance and ordinance in town. What's missing there is the structure to apply the municipal ticketing, okay? So we can address that issue through that measure. I don't think we need a no trespass issue. I am not unsympathetic to the no trespass issue for extreme circumstances. However, I would be ecstatic as an ACLU attorney if we were to allow anything but a full select board vote on what's the notice of
trespass.
Notice of trespass. Anything less than that, I would be all over that as an ACLU attorney challenging this. And that's who brought the case in Newport. I think I shared that with you, and Dan shared that with us. You know, the town ended up having to pay this person $30,000 plus legal fees. And I am really hesitant to put us in that kind of a position where we're exposed that way. So I would.
I mean, I guess, may I ask you the question, can we harm reduce around this to like create any use of this? I mean, is it worth doing if it's just 3% of the opportunities to use it?
I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer to that question. I would say if a majority of the select board wants to go ahead with this, I would certainly advise not adding the extra layer of the select board weighing in.
Oh, the two members.
Would you say we're all 5 of us weighing in, or is no weighing in?
I would say we are creating huge legal exposure if it's anything less than the full select board at a select board meeting.
Right. You're saying the two people
To
we
delegate
talked
to the
about.
chair, to delegate to 2 or something, I said, I think that's a horrible mistake. That would expose us. And so I think what Dan put together did not include that stuff. And what Trevor said was, that's well done, you know, and it probably would work if you can get someone to come and enforce it, okay? But you're still going to be at risk of some litigation. And so, you know, the question on balance is, how do you minimize that risk? And the obvious place to minimize that is to not have that extra step added here at all.
So no select board weighing in at all.
No, just have the ordinance, not the ordinance, the policy, whatever. We're not being asked to adopt an ordinance, we're being asked to approve a policy here, okay? And to say, yeah.
And this was Trevor's suggestion? Did you and Trevor decide this?
No,
This is what Trevor thought?
Trevor thought we shouldn't do this. Trevor has seen everything that Dan, and they've been in communication and stuff like that.
So then maybe there is some kind of decision-making metric that is written into the policy that you're using, that before you would issue a notice of trespass, that for whatever violation it is being offered for, one of your steps before you do that is a call to VSP asking, is this something they would go after or not? As like an additional, well, if they're not going to, then we're definitely not going to play this card.
Yeah,
And what else could be in that decision-making metric if we're not involved to harm reduce a finer and finer point on when it is appropriate to use this strategy?
I could add that to the compliance checklist, which is that, is everything documented? Do you have evidence? Have you gone through a progression? And I still need to have a follow-on conversation with Justin and Trevor. Our conversation was this morning, then I spoke to VSP after, let Trevor know, hey, they said they would enforce it. I don't know if that'll change their minds, and again, I have said from the beginning, this is one of those, just because we can, I don't know if we should. I think it'd be effective, but I'm also cognizant of the issues you brought up, of like, is the juice worth the squeeze? If it's something where I could message, one of the other things in my conversation with Sergeant Dawes, it doesn't work if people report things to me and I call VSP. It's hearsay, it's secondhand. So I refer, please call VSP, which they're not doing. So
Yeah, I've told several people to call VSP directly.
And as I mentioned, the email with my report, I do have the anonymous tip line. I tell you that's better than nothing because it at least generates an incident number. It just becomes one of those, I can tell them about X issue until I'm blue in the face based on reports from other people. But if there is not a direct report, it's nothing they get from that is it's not admissible. They get that. So any way we can get that information too. But that being said, it could be one of those, I get a report, if I use the case of the strange gentleman, right? Hey, I was down there, here's what I observed, this is no good, like that.
You have direct knowledge.
That would be, before I issued a no trespass on that, it would be, hey, okay, Plainfield Constable, let me tell you about the conversation I just had with multiple threats. Oh, it's recorded on my phone.
Yeah,
So
that's gonna mean more probably than
again, that is
whatever.
Every other method other than a no trespass would be taken if I have the ability. What I'm looking at is there's always going to be scenarios where it's just outside the ability for me to do anything else, and it becomes that last ditch. And I think if that's documented, articulated, that goes a long way to minimizing potential litigation. But you're going to have to spend money to prove you're right. So again, I'm not standing here going, we should absolutely do this. I'm saying, here's what I have found. Here's the conversations I've had. I'm probably 30 hours into this by now, of just putting it together and looking at case law and poking holes in my own stuff and just trying to provide some information that maybe we have something in the toolbox. Maybe we adopt it and I never use it, that'd make me happy. But
Can I ask a question? Did any of you read the
Yeah.
Newport case?
Oh, I didn't read the Newport case, I read what Dan sent us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's a very good discussion in there from the judge about the constitutional issues and in no trespass, and how so narrow and precise a charge has to be to pass the test. And, you know, Newport thought that they had done it, but they had a couple of flaws in their process, you know, and, you know, I think, you know, Dan recognized them, they didn't have an appeals process in there, for example, which was one thing, but also, you know, I mean, this guy had been a town employee and was fired, and then was told he couldn't go to these two places. He then got a job where he was working for some environmental group doing cleanup or something, and it required him to go to one of the places he was banned from. The other was his kid, he couldn't watch the Little League games, you know, because he was banned from public. It's like, you know, what specific in his firing from his job prevented him from not going out here? I mean, it wasn't behavior out there, you know, so.
For me,
Quite,
yeah, no, I'm thinking back to something,
The Newport case is the reason for that compliance checklist,
yes,
and also why there's finite dates on it. Like, you're not just no trespassing somebody permanently.
yeah.
The length of time is specifically tied to the severity of the behavior, and you start small.
because I mean, to boil it down, we're talking about public property, where the public has a right to be.
And enjoy, yeah, yeah.
You know,
But the public does not have the right to engage in behavior that is prohibited.
that's correct.
Right, so,
That's why it has to be so precise.
right, but if there is a pattern of, for example, we have this mentally ill person who continually dumps food in the rec field area, you know, residents suffer greatly. We had one person whose dog was injured, actually, because of that. And I really do not like, I've been handling these phone calls for 5 years, and I really don't like sitting there going, well, there's nothing we can do, that's okay. It's not okay. It's really affecting the quality of life. We have vermin issues. I mean, it really creates a problem. And to simply say, you know what, somebody's throwing a little food around, what's the big deal? I think we have to say enough is enough, that's all. That's my feeling about it. I don't think that's okay. And I think the town ought to have everything in its toolbox to just say, you know what, it's reached the point. It's been how many years now? Half a decade of this? Enough. That's my feeling about it.
Will this do it?
Well, I mean, you know, I understand that there are grave concerns regarding liability. I understand that, but I wonder if we have a situation where we can craft something very carefully to address this problem. Because it really is not really, it's, you know, you can characterize it a certain way, but it's a real problem. And there are probably other examples too, but, you know, I've said my piece.
Well, I think you're the one who brought up in the past, that there are certain individuals that'll take advantage of any system.
Absolutely.
And I've run into that in town when I was on the select board before. So we do have to be very careful.
On the other situation that I mentioned, we have had instances where the people who are making these transgressions understand what the police reaction will be. For example, I was told flat out that there had been no reports to the police regarding a certain situation. What I came to find out was actually there were reports to the police, but they did not, they pushed the person to not file an incident number. Therefore, there was no record of the call.
Why would they have done that?
Because they don't want to deal with it, because they feel, you know what, go to the court directly and get a no trespass order, and we're not going to get involved.
Yeah.
So there's that problem too, where
and the people who are on the other end of this know that's gonna be the reaction, and what you end up with is no enforcement and a lot of very damaged neighbors and a wrecked community. And you know, I am not Mr. Law and Order here, but I do see time and time again, people gaming the system and creating a very unsafe environment. That's all.
Yeah, yes.
I'm wondering if I want to credit and affirm the amount of nuance you're holding here, Dan. And, you know, I'm like, I was not impressed by the last town constable and his report to us. And I would feel less comfortable with this policy in somebody else's hands. And with another harm reduction strategy we might employ is that we are, I guess, appointing the present constable with this policy, and it's not an indefinite policy. And if that's another level of security we can offer ourselves of this policy, if we adopt it with a greater and greater number of refining decision-making metrics to be able to use the policy. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I'm just thinking is how far can you refine it? Because the more you refine it, the more you're targeting a very specific issue.
But it sounds like we have a number of precedents that can focus those refinements. It sounds like, I mean, even if it's a long list, it's a long list that I feel confident that you could follow, is really what I'm saying. But I wouldn't necessarily trust just anybody to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Could we call it a provisional policy for the term of this constable?
I don't know.
I'm sorry?
I think that's a question for our attorney.
Well, I'm wondering about talking to maybe an attorney from the ACLU, you know, that you mentioned,
I mean,
just to see what they would do with
Do
it.
you want to table this discussion for now, kind of offer the feedback back to you for further evolution of the concept and the idea, and to circulate them by email to us to vote on again?
Well, just to follow up, I mean, you said you want to get back with Justin at the League of Cities and Towns. What is your follow-up there?
So the resolution of our call this morning was, one, there's a lot of pitfalls with this. The first question that needed to be answered was, would law enforcement enforce a no trespass order if you issued one? I'd say, okay, I'll get an answer on that. So I went and got the answer, I relayed back to them shortly afternoon. Trevor responded that, okay, I had a touch base with Justin. So pending that piece of new information, because the answer at the start of that discussion was, well, I would assume they would, but I don't know for sure. So I went and asked, and yes, they would. So now I'm waiting to see if their position on that would change.
Are you feeling safe with the contacts that you're making?
Yeah.
Are you feeling physically safe?
Mm-hmm. There are certain ones I won't do, which I feel we're all pretty clear on which situation that is, because one, not much I could do. That definitely will not be a friendly conversation. But yeah, it's not, I don't enter into things that I don't feel I have the ability to control and influence. I'm also wired a bit differently, so while I'm smiling and engaging in conversation, before I showed up, I have everything mapped out. I know if there's any other people in any other vehicle. I've looked underneath, I see if there's feet. I'm watching face, hands, microaggressions, gestures, tone of voice. All of those things I've picked up over the years that are indicators if somebody's looking for a fight. And if they are, you won't find it with me.
You'll walk
Have a nice
away.
day.
Yeah.
Because I have no desire to be a tough guy. I I want to be a friendly guy, I want to resolve the situation. But I also make it plainly clear just from how I address things that that's not the route you want to go down. So if you put me in a situation where I can't escape it or avoid it, I'm not going to play around.
Yep. Good. That's what we want you to do.
Yeah, let me be
Be
safe.
safe.
Well, I mean,
How do we
as I-
proceed?
As I said earlier, Dan did a lot of good research here.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Trevor said that they thought it would work, but they advised against it.
Yeah.
So I won't repeat that. I would caution, if we do go through, that we don't add additional steps, that we just, go with what has been developed.
With no articulation of just decision-making metrics?
Right, with no board involvement.
No, that's different. With
Not-
no
with
board
no board
involvement is one thing.
involvement.
No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about, I think there's opportunity to create an even more refined map of procedure for the constable to follow about when he presses that button, having nothing to do with us, but that we write it into the policy. We're talking about policy, that such and such, such and such, such and such, such and such have all been checked off, that this now feels like we have crossed our Ts and dotted our Is.
Yeah, I mean, I think checking in with, say, if you get to a situation, say, hey, I've got this situation, you call state police, I'm about to do this, are you guys, on this, like,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, unless there's a major traffic accident and then they don't show up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always gonna happen, but.
and you're, sourcing from the Newport case, every possible contingency that was found there
Yep,
about
there's-
like
there's
how we can.
Newport, Burlington ran into trouble, there was one down Rutland, all of those were fairly broad. and not
Learn from the
specifically targeted.
lessons.
What I would say is, I'm gonna have a follow-up conversation with Justin and Trevor based on yes, DSP said they'll enforce this. Oh, and I will follow up with the board after that. Do I have a warm, that warm fuzzy feeling of this is something we should do, not something we can do?
Yeah.
I think that, for me, is the final piece of due diligence. Like I said, from the start of this, I haven't come in and said, we need to do this right now. It's, here's an idea, let's flesh that out. So let me get that information and then I'll provide that to the select board.
Thank you.
By the way, my final thing is, until taking on this role, God bless all of you for the amount of time you put into this, even just with meetings and all the stuff that goes on, so I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate what you're doing.
And then Bram, just to follow up, can we confirm that you can look for litigation insurance? Is that a thing?
I'll call the insurance people tomorrow.
Thank you.
Could I just ask Dan a side
Yes.
question? Have you heard from Karen Story? I suggested that she might talk to you because I did report to her the dumping of the waste in the Brook Road down there. I went down and
Fowler?
on the Brook Road.
Is this different than the?
It's the trailers there
It's the Fowler.
yeah. I mean, it's clear there's one very visible pipe that's going right down in there. And I did file another traffic report because there's another trailer that's now down there, which is out in the road.
Jody is contacting the A&R enforcement person regarding that issue.
Yeah.
As is another resident on that road.
Yeah, I filed a report with A&R myself, and the guys,
Ryan.
yeah, his thing bounced back. That wasn't a good email address, so I called
Okay.
and used the tip line to report there, so. But
Sorry about that, I'll check. I don't know what's going on.
it bumped, it's the same one that's on the website, so it
It's weird.
bumped back.
So
I don't know, but,
I've gotten through to them before, so.
But, I mean, there's just it's an encampment down there, but everybody seemed buttoned up and, didn't seem to be very busy when I went down the other day. So, I've been down there several times because I've taken people down to show them the flood damage.
Yeah, I do too.
Be careful.
Yeah. It's really late. We have still some things we'd like to deal with.
I have an urgent request, if I may.
What's that?
You've got me down for memorandum of understanding 3 items ahead. And Karen, Patrick and I are meeting tomorrow to write a grant based on that being signed. I would love to have that taken care of because I have to run, I'm so late, you know. So could you move that into the agenda right next, maybe?
Yeah, we can take that on. I understand where you're at. I don't think, do we need to deal with the Housing Committee at this point? No. And Michael and I have talked about the accessibility spot, and we're going to keep dealing with that. So we can postpone that one. We will address that again. And the amendment to the personnel policy to reflect action on disability insurance, didn't we deal with that?
We just have to amend the personnel policy. We did the disability insurance, but we just didn't amend the policy.
Okay.
That's just a quick, I
Okay.
sent you guys like a little paragraph.
All right. Okay, so the memorandum of understanding regarding the pet shelter, Plainfield Arts owns the building across the road here, the garage.
Nice, yeah.
Michael would like to use that as a pet shelter because this is our emergency shelter and people with pets are not going to come here unless they have a place to put the pet. Plainfield Arts has looked at it and we've agreed to the memorandum and it needs to have the select board's approval. To do this, it's for a 5-year term. There's no charges. However, the emergency management team is going to do electrical work over there and get it prepared for the pets. And that's really all I can tell you. We have it there, right?
Yeah, Dan.
Did everybody see a copy of the memorandum of agreement?
It's been around, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
Dan,
so
have you seen the revised one that Dan did?
Well, the only thing I thought would probably be needed was another paragraph saying this agreement's in effect for 5 years.
5 years.
May be renewed by the consent of all parties. That, I mean, I thought I didn't know of any.
The term
other
of this
agreements.
agreement is 5 years from the date signed. It's in.
Yeah, that's the same thing. Yeah, I made up a slightly different version for the same reason.
He removed the words emergency management where it appeared
Just town
twice.
council.
Because it's the town of Plainfield that's doing it. It's not the
absolutely.
department that's doing this.
Yeah.
My only concern about reading this is that it obligates the town to do this without guaranteeing the money. So I would make this conditioned upon receiving the grant.
Well, it doesn't obligate us, it just say we can't. I mean, if we don't get the grant, we can't.
Plainfield Arts owns the building.
Yeah,
It's not the town of Plainfield.
yeah.
But Plainfield Arts is agreeing to be good citizens.
What
and
this
offer.
says is the town of Plainfield, in exchange for use of the west side, shall improve the building by doing blah, 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 blah. It basically obligates us to do this, whether we get grant funds or not. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
That's a good
Well,
point. That's a good point.
yeah, that is a good point. I think what, the reason you're using the town of Plainfield and not Plainfield Arts, who's the owner of the building, is because the town of Plainfield's gonna go for the grant,
Correct.
right?
That's right.
So that's why the language is in there that
Yeah.
way. So maybe we can rewrite that to,
I would just make the motion contingent upon receiving
no,
funds.
okay.
That's fine.
We're not gonna do it unless you get a grant.
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
would just sit there, we'd have to figure out another solution, because it would block our,
Okay. So do you want to make that motion
Yes.
contingent?
I would move that we approve the memorandum of understanding, and I think Dan is going to sign for Plainfield Arts, so, because he said he would
Did say
abstain.
that, yeah.
He has to abstain, yeah,
He
he's
has
the
to abstain
president
from
of
this,
Plainfield Arts.
But that we approve the memorandum of understanding contingent upon receiving grant funds for.
Is there a second on that?
I mean, is it as simple as adding that language into the memorandum of understanding? And the way you just phrased it, it sounds like,
No, it's in our motion and it'll appear in the minutes.
okay.
I don't think we need to.
Okay, that's a finer point that you have a tighter
I
hold
mean,
on.
you could probably do it either way.
You're saying we should change this document?
I think that's simpler, because it's like that a memorandum of understanding only is activated by receiving of grants.
Thank you for doing that, man.
The grant probably, if it's funded, won't be available till next spring.
Thank you for doing that.
So,
Whereas if we just like add a sentence to that document, then we sign the memorandum of understanding and it's ready to go.
So I would add it to the beginning of the paragraph that begins the town of Plainfield, say,
Yeah,
contingent upon receiving grant funding, the town of Plainfield, in
Exactly.
exchange for use for.
that sounds good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
could you send a copy to me so that I can include that with our grant request? Once it's been finally reworded, please.
So
Contingent.
state that back to me, thank you.
Contingent on receiving the grant for building modifications, the town of Plainfield.
Okay, contingent upon receiving grant funds for building modification, the town of Plainfield, in exchange for use of the west side of the first floor shall improve, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So that's your motion.
so move.
Second, and we need to authorize somebody to sign for us? Do we?
Yeah, are you conflicted?
I'm a little conflicted. I'm on the board. I'm not the president,
So
but
I
I'm
would
on the
move
board.
that our vice chair.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Okay,
I second that.
Fair enough.
okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay.
I'll
And we
send you
have
that
the,
amendment Later tonight.
Okay, great, thank you.
the quick
Thank you for your
amendment,
patience, Michael.
amendment to the personnel policy. You want to make a motion on that?
Yes, I emailed this out to you, but I'll read it to you, it's real
Yeah.
quick. Young Bear moves to amend the personnel policy in section Roman numeral 9, benefits, by adding a new section 8. The town of Plainfield provides short and long-term disability insurance and basic life, accidental death, and dismemberment insurance to all employees working at least 20 hours a week, paying 100% of the premiums.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Do we have any hot item on the road commissioner report? We got that?
Yes. So hot. The Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission, Transportation Advisory Committee, has funds available. And they have reached out to a lot of towns, and I had not heard about these funds being available until quite late in the game. And it's actually Paula Emery, who is the liaison for CVRPC, got a hold of me through the office and said, have you heard about this? And so I was able to get a hold of Ruben McMartin, who is the transportation planner at CVRPC. And so I invited him down to the office to talk about what things we have in, like all of the stuff that would be appropriate to submit a proposal to the committee. And so after kind of a wide-ranging discussion, it lasted about an hour, the thing that seemed most warranted is to submit a proposal for a comprehensive study of a second egress to the village. And given the things that we've understood happening, and constraints around some of the other things that have been thrown up, and then the fact that some of the locations are in Marshfield, we decided that the scope of this proposal would be west of the Main Street Bridge, where it meets Route 2, that we know and love well, and all the way to Country Club Road, and south of Route 2, like so. everything south of Route 2, that's the study area. And so come up with a comprehensive study of that location for a second egress. And so I wrote something up, and since we met on, maybe it was Thursday, I had a few hours. Basically, I needed to have a conversation with him, come up with a thing, write it out, and submit it the same day. So I did that. And so I have that here. I can share it with you online. I didn't make a bunch of copies. And then the other piece of the, there's another thing, but probably not important at this point, but planning money, $40,000.
This is grant money, yeah.
And it was strongly hinted that there is a lot of money and there are not a lot of towns who jumped on this.
Wow.
So I aimed high, shoot for the moon.
So do you need to,
On the egress.
yeah. Do you need a board approval of what you already did?
No, this is like, I made a proposal, it's not, there's nothing binding.
Yeah, okay,
It's not
okay.
a, grant of.
Well, that's great. Peter and I have been thinking about this.
Well, Josh called me and we talked about this and he asked me if I had presented a report. And I said, no, I mean, you and I had gone out, we've looked at a number of things. I said, I kind of reviewed the various options,
I did talk to Justin Campbell, the chair of the board of Marshfield, who said they're fine with whatever we might want to do where we looked, near the park and ride, or a little beyond that. They would also be fine if we wanted to extend the rail bed to the next road. And, but he said, as far as Bean Road, because we were thinking about your culvert project, and I asked him about Bean Road, he said that's been thrown up, and it's probably owned by Bailey's. So we'll have to talk, I'm gonna talk to Ken Bailey and see what he can tell us.
And for the time, and I spoke with Michael about it, and the time involved with putting that into like enough shape to get like the connection to fulfill the needs of the one culvert, the cost of that, because it's been quite let go, and that's why it was given up.
Could we put like a temporary, like a little Bailey Bridge or something off of East Hill Road so that culvert could be replaced?
It is difficult to get temporary bridges, and because the last time I tried to get one, they were not available. And we have other temporary bridge priorities should they become available. And multiple.
So the idea is we just close the road.
Close the road and drive around, drive
They'll
all the
just
way to Orange.
drive into Barry and
see it
deal
out.
with it.
It's like,
Yeah.
for how long? You see,
Could be like a week, depending on the, that's not a small culvert, that is a big culvert, and that's a long project.
And we would have to put, I forget what the system is, on the highway system. I know emergency management, Michael Billingsley can get on there to route folks around the roundabout and come down Middle Road and whatnot. But we'd have to have something so that folks don't start off of Route 302 thinking they're gonna get through.
They'll be turning around on Glenda's driveway.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Trucks.
yeah, we do have trucks.
I mean, it doesn't stop people from going through Smuggler's Notch, but,
Okay, well, thanks for that grant report, and we'll keep working on the,
would that
That
project
culvert
leave
issue.
anyone totally stranded without root cars? Are there like dead ends that we're blocking off?
No.
Thank you.
It would just,
It would just be very inconvenient.
yeah.
well, it adds 20, 30 minutes.
Stay,
How long is it
staycation
gonna
for
take
everybody.
you two to get to the select board meeting?
Yeah, it's gonna
Like,
take us,
an
I don't know,
hour?
40 minutes. We have to go up into Barry, Middle Road.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta go all the way
Yeah,
It's a conflict of interest, but we can ask for the.
so it's not just us,
The
you know,
week between the two select board meetings.
we're retired, we don't, you know, it's okay for us, but,
You're thinking.
okay, keep moving. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know about the executive session, which is the only item left other than approval of minutes. We could do that first.
Why don't we approve minutes first?
Yeah.
Well, let's do everything else first.
Yeah, okay. Approval of draft minutes. Does somebody have a motion for the
I
10,
move that we approve all the draft minutes.
10:14?
Yeah.
25.
25.
Second?
Yeah, second. I mean, I was gonna look at the dates. Have we listed all the dates?
That was just
It's
one.
just
minute.
1 minute,
Yeah.
10:14.
Just 1 minute.
And then I move that we approve approval of warrants, account payable 10/2/25, 10/10/25, payroll 10/11/25, 10/23/25.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thank you. So we got those done.
You're gonna announce the date of the next meeting?
The date of the next meeting is November 10th, 2025 at 6 o'clock, and it will be a 2-hour meeting.
May it be so?
Promise?
And now I'll make a motion to enter executive session to discuss a personnel matter.
Okay.
Which is going to be the last agenda item for the meeting.
Last item, so
Which means everyone is going to be
our reporter may leave the
asked to
building.
leave who's not involved. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Is anybody
Take
still
care.
online?
Yeah, we're gonna
We're
move
gonna
to-
go into
there we go.
executive.
I'm gonna ask Bram's note taker to leave. Remove. Okay, I'm okay with that. No, we're
We're gonna have-
not, we're not
we're-
reporting them.
We're gonna have
just
to come out
removing
and
them.
just say there's no action, or whatever the action is.
Okay, and then I'm gonna pause our recording.